And we are live.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the 2023 NHL Draft first round stream.
Yeah, should be fun. I'm
Yeah,
I'm looking to the draft so much this year. Look, like it's such a good draft class, Dylan.
it's insane how good this draft class is, which I'm sure is something we'll talk about a lot throughout the evening.
Oh yeah.
How's it going, Trillionaire Mindset? Yeah, I mean it's unreal. Like I've already said it, RJ. I think it's better than 2015. I know that's controversial.
That
I
was a
think
good draft class in 2015.
it was, but like the second half of the first round of that draft class wasn't as exciting as this one is. Like, I just think there's
Yeah.
like 20 to 25 guys that would have been in the top 15 that year. And so I that's the way I think about it anyway. How's it going, Josh? DJ Singletone, Striatic with the nice comment there, Striatic. Very nice.
Yep. Make
Um,
sure to like the stream so other hockey
yep,
fans can find it. We want a lot of hockey
yep.
fans finding this one to join us here for the draft. I love seeing because it shows us how many viewers we have on the little top corner. I love to see go from 0 as I hit live straight to 20, like just
Yes.
almost instantly. That was great.
Yes. Now everybody's ready as the draft coverage is officially starting on ESPN. No more Sports Center. That's good. Hunter, how's it going? Missed you too. Um, Michael kicking things off. I mean, right away, right? Like, let's just get into it. Some are talking the Ducks might go Carlson over Fantilli. I mean, there's also been the idea that Michkov could be in the cards for the Ducks. RJ, Pat
What are you
Verbeek,
thinking?
he
Do
could
you
do
think we'll see a
whatever.
surprise from the Ducks? Because I mean, Fantilli has just seemed like the obvious pick for a long time now, but
Mm-hmm.
there's all this last minute talk, all this potential smoke screens. I just generally tend to think that never ends up materializing, but last year it did. So now I'm
Yeah.
not so sure.
It did. I think though that there was a little bit more of it before draft day last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it was a little bit more like Slavkovsky's stock was steadily rising really for like a month and a half before the draft got there. So the idea of him, pushing his way into first overall pick, you know, contention wasn't as shocking. And then Shane Wright, I mean, Shane, people had been looking for like 3 years for reasons to just downplay Shane Wright, so it felt a little different than this where it's just kind of like on draft day, and how much of that is just maybe the Ducks saying stuff just to screw with people, how much of that is really legitimate and what's going on. I don't know. I got to think that they'll probably go ahead and just go with Fantilli. If they do go somewhere else, they probably are going Carlson. They want a center. They want somebody to complement McTavish, allow them to kick Zegras over to the wing. It just makes sense for them. And so, yes, if they view Carlson, very smart, super high hockey IQ, still a very big frame, could be physical if he wants to, can play net front. If they do value that over say Fantilli, then they could do that, and it wouldn't, I guess, be too shocking. But I just think Fantilli he's just such a slam dunk. You just know exactly what he's going to be. It's awesome.
Right. And I still think that's the right decision. But again, a big, smart Swede taken by the Ducks, a few
Yeah.
picks maybe higher than most people think. I feel like I've seen that happen before. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and people talking about the fact that Ryan Getzloff's now like one of their player development heads, and what could that mean? Obviously, then picking a big-bodied center is going to you know benefit him helping out with that.
Oh,
I would
yeah.
argue that Carlson might have more of a Getzloff style game than Fantilli does. So again, if they're thinking, hey, we want to bring in Getzy, have him really just train somebody to just be the next Ryan Getzloff, I could see the argument being made then for Carlson over Fantilli as well.
Yeah.
And Michael pointing out Ducks are also revealing their 30th year jersey too. Yeah, was it confirmed that it is in fact their 30th season jersey? Because I heard rumblings that it might just be their new jersey period. It's just coinciding with the 30th year.
Right. I've heard both things, and I think we'll see more clarity once they go up to the draft stage. And I saw a concept that someone, I think it was like Luke Orient, put out, and then Chris Kramer from the sportslogos.net said yes, they're going to have a new jersey with those colors, but it's not going to look anything like this. So really interested to see what they've come up
Yes,
with.
definitely. I mean, the bottom line is we know everything, all this lead up is exciting, but we know what's going to happen with the first pick. Everything through the process of the first pick being made is going to, it's going to be what it is. We all know it's Bedard. We've known it's been Bedard for a while. We know he's going to the Blackhawks. Um, Everything starting with the Ducks, right? Whether it's the jersey, whether it's the pick and who they're going to actually take, like that's where really everything in the draft is going to start. Hopefully it doesn't take too long to get there. I don't know what they're planning as far as like when the Blackhawks will be put on the clock. I also, I'm, are they going to make the Blackhawks take all 10 minutes, RJ?
Let's hope not. I mean, we'll see if they feel like doing it. Yeah, we all know what the pick is going to be. I mean, they would gain a little bit of credit in my book if they just
Yeah.
got up there right away and made the pick. Still very in the negative, I think they would be as an organization in my book. But still, you gain a little bit back, so maybe they should try and do that.
Yep. Good to see Jen in here. Join us from the Chuck's patio. Love it.
Nice. Hi there, Viren.
Other member of ECH there, and Jen. Jangles. Odds closed heavily in Fantilli's favor for second overall and Smith for third overall, which is a little surprising for me, RJ. Unless, I mean, does Yarmo have Boston College connections that I don't know about?
None that I'm aware of. That'd be kind of odd if he did. No, I mean, we've seen similar last minute talk with that third pick about Columbus maybe going Smith over Carlson, and just looking at those centers, they could kind of go anywhere in that 2 to 5 range, really. And then the Sharks are a huge wild card as far as what they're doing. I don't think anybody really has a good indication of where they're going to go. I'm just excited to see how it all shakes out. We really don't know.
Yeah, although, I mean, everybody's really pushing Will Smith to San Jose because of the amount of Boston College connections there. I just don't think it makes sense for them.
Right. But then if Columbus takes him, if he's off the board, then, where do they go?
Yeah, where do they go?
It could be anything.
They might trade down. I mean, I know
rumors are that Nashville's told them asking about that pick. So
yes. I was going to say, I know the whole thing is with San Jose, like apparently they don't want to really do like this whole big rebuild, but if ever there was a time to trade down, accumulate more picks, it's especially in a draft class this deep, and it's an organization looking at the future that the Sharks have in the short term. Those two things just really line up well. Yeah. Daniel, do you think 19-year-old Connor Geekie will be there? Yes, with the Winnipeg Ice moving to Washington, they renamed the Wild, right? I saw that.
Yeah, the Wenatchee Wild.
Yeah, Wenatchee Wild. I do think Connor Geekie will probably be there. I think the Coyotes, especially with Logan Cooley not joining them this year, they still have stuff to figure out. They're still trying to figure out the stadium stuff. I think they want to push off all the ELCs as long as they possibly can. So my guess is Connor Geekie will be there playing with the Wild alongside a Zach Benson, maybe even a Matthew Savoy. Like that Wild team could be super legit, RJ.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they could be a very good team next year. I mean, there's so many good teams, junior teams in the state of Washington. Absolutely love it.
They'll have a long rebuild after that because I don't think they have first round picks for the next 7 years.
They're draft picks. The cupboard is bare for sure. But for now, it could be really exciting.
Definitely. Do big trades, this is from Dexter, do big trades happen on draft night like in the NBA and NFL, or is it usually just the picks? For the most part, it's just the picks, right? Like the big trades are like the Dubois trade that's already happened. It can happen. It certainly
and last year did not disappoint. I mean, you had Alex DeBrincat moved basically on the draft floor. You had Montreal getting Kirby Dach, and they also got who was the defenseman? Was it Romanov that they sent out to the Islanders? Like they made a couple big moves involving first round picks, but also involving players. It's possible. Like it does happen. Yes. Usually it's kind of underwhelming as far as those big player trades, but last year it wasn't. So we'll see what we get this year.
I was just going to say they tend to happen in the drafts where there isn't as much depth to the prospect pool, because teams then, if say the one guy they were really after gets taken, now all of a sudden they're willing to make a move, do something like that. Or if there's one team that's really targeting one specific player, they decide, okay, now is our time to move up. Things happen there. I think this year there's going to be a lot of teams that are mostly just going to kind of stand pat because they're going to have 3, 4, 5 guys that they all like, and they'll just say, well, we're 4 picks away, one of them is going to be there for us, and you won't see as much movement there. That being said, host team generally does like to make a splash. Right? You saw that last year. Could see that maybe this year as well with Nashville. There's lots of stuff there. Sounds like a goalie is leaving Nashville, RJ. No matter,
Yes.
don't know which one, but it sounds like a goalie is going to be leaving Nashville soon.
So that is something we could see there. I think the Preds are going to find a way to trade up in this one, but I don't think it'll happen maybe before that. I think they'd be hard pressed to get into the top 5.
The big one that I will forever remember though, RJ, is being in New Jersey at the 2013 draft, and the Devils have pick 9 overall, and they go up and Gary Bettman announces a trade involving New Jersey, and the crowd freaks out because we're in New Jersey, and New Jersey traded the 9th overall pick for Corey Schneider. And then that pick went to Vancouver, who then selected Bo Horvat. And that's the first time, that's the only time I could think of a team just trading out of the first round at a draft hosted in their building, RJ.
Yeah, it's rare. And as we see Gary Bettman and David Poyle up on the stage here, we've got the booze in chat from Mike McBob
Yes.
and Dalek. Good. Now throw in our own booze here for the commissioner. Well deserved this year, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's oh so good, so good. Dalek, hey Squids, time to cleanse my brain of baseball and forget it completely for the rest of the year with hockey and football. I mean, yeah, maybe a little early for that, but yes, definitely.
Never too early.
Yep. How's it going, CR Bud? Good to see you in here. You got thoughts on the Timo Meyer contract, RJ?
I think it's a great deal for New Jersey. Like 8.8, really solid, especially with the cap going up with that kind of term. Meyer's a legit first line winger. I think he wasn't as bad as everyone's saying in the playoffs too. Like I think they've got a really solid top 9 there. Rumors the Sharks were willing to go up to 9.25 in their offer. Glad they didn't do that. But yeah, so I think it's a good deal for New Jersey. It's a good fit there too.
Yeah. Now you say that it's a good deal at 8.8 for him, RJ, and yet you think the Kings are overpaying Pierre-Luc Dubois at 8.5. I mean, he's a center.
I think it's a slight overpay. Again, you look at the contract projections. Myers were much higher than Dubois. And I think there's multiple reasons for that. Myers more of a game breaker than Pierre-Luc Dubois is, even though he's a winger.
It's a potential 40 goal season versus a 25 to 30 goal season, even if Dubois is a center, and that's a little bit more valuable. Exactly. RJ, do you use that wood twig behind you? Old school, let's go.
No, I don't. This one's just for decoration. Sometimes like out in the park or whatever, because I know it's not going to get beat up, on the asphalt. But I did actually use a wooden stick all through high school, like up until my senior year of high school. I was the only one. I had an old Coho stick that I loved, absolutely loved, but I could not find another one. They don't make them anymore. I haven't made them for a long time. And when that one broke, that was it. I couldn't find another.
Yep. How's it going, Mason? How's it going, Darren? Let's see. Did the first pick happen yet? No, it has not. We're still waiting. I mean, I'm sure Gary's saying something.
Yeah.
Just like how great Nashville has been as a market, and it's so exciting to see how hockey and the culture has grown there, and blah blah blah. There you go. I can't hear him at all. I guarantee you that's what he's saying.
Yep.
Rusty Railroad. How long will the draft take? A while.
Yeah, a while. Maybe about 2 hours. A little over that.
Yeah, so. It'll definitely take a little while. This is cool though, is that Roman Josi and Pecorine out there.
Oh, nice.
With a guitar for Poyle, I guess. I would assume.
Oh, that's nice.
Nice little retirement gift. Is he retiring or is he just bumping up to president of hockey ops?
I don't know if he's officially retiring. I mean, he's been in the business long enough. He's in a position to retire. I don't know. No, they're saying retirement. So
okay,
that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It would be hard to then be the next GM, even if it is Barry Trotz and they've had like a working relationship for a very, very long time. It would be hard to come in and be a general manager of that franchise under him. You know what I mean? Like it would. Yeah. Anyway, just to answer your question again, Rusty Railroad, don't know exactly. My guess is you're looking at close to 4 hours, probably, just because it'll take them a little while here to get going with the Blackhawks at first overall. And then, a lot of times you can expect that full 10-minute clock to go for each team, 32 teams, 10 minutes per, 320 hours. It's a long time.
320 hours. That is a very long time, but you could do the math. Super chat here from Schultz. Could there be a Kraken draft day trade for Carlson? Extremely unlikely.
Yeah.
Certainly not. Even if it was a given, even if you told me the Kraken are going to acquire Erik Karlsson this offseason, I'd say it's unlikely that it happens today. It's
Yeah.
not going to happen today.
Yeah. No, any deal that's going to involve a lot of like cap stuff going on, like an Erik Karlsson trade is, where maybe even potentially get a third team involved just to retain salary or something along those lines, or you're going to have to be working out a bunch of contracts going back the other way to help out with the cap situation. That stuff, it's hard to get done on draft day. It just is. You'll see picks moved, obviously. You'll see prospects moved. All that stuff's a lot easier to deal with when you're down there on the trade floor, and you don't have to be also pulling out a calculator and trying to do all the math on the cap stuff
Exactly.
too. Looking up everybody's performance bonuses, making sure if somebody plays more than 26 games, you're not going to have to give them that $15,000 more, RJ.
All right, so Chicago's on the clock. Sorry, if you just threw it to me, I was listening in
Yes.
on they're just putting Chicago on the clock.
Yeah. Daniel, yes, we'll both be in Seattle for Dev Camp on the July 2nd, that first day of Dev Camp. We're going to be hosting kind of a little get together at the park outside Kraken Community Iceplex. So make sure to stop by. RJ, me, Jen, Afra, even, who's sleeping on the bed next to me here.
Yes.
We'll all be there, and looking forward to hanging out with everybody for that. That should be a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
it's going to be super fun.
Thoughts on Ross Colton going to Colorado, RJ, for Mason? Feel like Seattle should have jumped at that price.
Yeah, so that's an interesting trade. I think it's a good move for Colorado. You get to flip one of those two picks. I like the new hook deal. I like what they're doing with it. As far as Seattle jumping at that price, they couldn't really match that price. They didn't have a pick that high. All three of their second rounders are lower, so it would have had to be something more than that. If you're Tampa, you're just looking for the highest pick there, and it would have been tough for the Kraken to match it. Also, I don't think you need another winger. You're so full at forward at this point. Like, where do you stick him? Where does he fit into the lineup? I don't think you can give him the opportunity that you need.
Yeah, agreed. CR Bud Dylan, how much of the 4 hours will be devoted to drooling over Bedard? By me or by the broadcast media? Because that's a very different answer.
It'll be a big difference. Yes.
It's a big difference there. Any thoughts on the Riley Smith trade from Robert there? I mean, look, Vegas needed to clear cap space, allowed him to go out and sign Barbashev to a contract extension. I think it was a good bit of business for Vegas.
Yeah, no, I think it was fine. I mean, these are the kind of deals they made. Look at last offseason. They gave away Pacioretty for very little. This is kind of how they operate, just to clear space. They signed Barbashev. That he's younger. He's probably going to be better over the next few years than a Riley Smith. And I think it's a solid deal for Pittsburgh. Like, you're getting a very good player for a third round pick. It's a little bit like the Bjorkstrand kind of deal. You're getting a solid middle six winger.
Yep. So the pick is in. Thankfully,
they didn't take very
long. They're not
long.
going to make us wait.
Credit to Chicago. Yeah.
Yeah. So, there's Kyle Davidson, just a random guy wandering the streets of Nashville. They brought in as a general manager.
Yep. I know that video was hilarious.
Yes.
He does look like just kind of a normal guy, though.
Totally.
In street clothes, like you wouldn't think about it.
That's the way hockey goes. I want to answer this question from Declan Saint. So I assume all the people at the tables are the top brass of every team. Yes, you'll have the general manager there, of course. You'll probably have the president of hockey operations. Sometimes you'll have ownership represented at that table, depending on how hands-on the ownership group is, or the owner specifically. Then you'll also have the head of scouting, and really all of your amateur scouts will kind of round out the rest of that group, just because they all have to be there to talk about the players with whoever's making the decision.
Yep. No, that is how it works. And as we see, Connor Bedard, the first pick in the draft. No surprise there.
Why did he wear a blue suit, RJ? Why didn't he just wear like a red suit or a black suit with a red tie, knowing he was going to the Blackhawks?
I saw some joke tweets like, he's signaling he wants to actually play for the Leafs. Just count down to free agency starting right now.
Yes, exactly. Like this from Alex. Darn, was hoping he'd fall.
Yep. Darn, slam the table already. This draft is going terribly.
Yep.
Guy the Kraken wanted will not fall to them.
Yep. Backhand sauce. Connor Bedard growing up in West Vancouver at the peak of the Canucks versus Blackhawks rivalry is just wrong.
Oh, that's what it is. It's blue for Vancouver.
Yep. He's making it known. He knows what's up. Mason, no trade up from Seattle. Boo, selling my season tickets. Yes. Definitely. We definitely will, Jen. Just first overall, it's Bedard. Didn't probably don't need it for that one.
Yep.
But we will, Jen. Don't worry about it.
By the way, everyone, for the Kraken pick at 20, I had to get some pick graphics done ahead of time just so we're prepared for this. So I don't have to be scrambling on the stream. I made graphics for 14 different players. So what do you think the odds are that it's one of those 14? I watch them pick somebody else and I'll have to be scrambling. Just letting you know ahead of time if the Kraken like trade up or do anything, I'll have to take to the social media and take to the graphics. Just know that ahead of time.
Yes, it'll be. We can all watch RJ scramble together. Hey, look at that! They've got him listed at 5'10". RJ, he's grown half an inch since the combine 2 weeks ago.
Wow, that's nice. I just maybe rounding up to be generous here.
Yeah, exactly. I like this from Bryce. Can't wait to see the draft grades for that pick. Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah, how do you grade that pick? Yeah.
So that's that one. Now the real draft kind of starts with what Anaheim's gonna do. As they'll probably take like half an hour to get everybody on stage to clump together close enough for the photo here. It'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see what they go with. I still think they probably go Fantilli. I got to think some of this is just maybe people trying to drum up a little bit more interest, because like if a top three say is just completely known about a draft, maybe that's not as good for the broadcast people. But we'll find out. Like I said, Carlson wouldn't be a bad pick for them either. I think if they go anywhere other than those two guys, that then maybe starts getting a little murky. But I think if they just do one of those, they're probably fine. How's it going?
I mean, unless
Patrick?
you go Michkov, and then you can understand the rationale at least.
Yes, you can still do it. I still don't know that it'd be the best thing long term for them, but you can certainly understand it. Let's see our bud RJ. Don't worry, only the Seahawks draft first rounders you've never heard of. Boy, isn't that accurate?
That is so true.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Growing up, the Raiders did that too, as I was rooting for them. But at least you kind of knew ahead of the draft who it was going to be.
Well, yeah,
you knew
you
it was
just
going to be Darius Hayward Bay.
Yeah, whoever had the fastest 40
time.
time, you knew that's where they were going. Exactly. Some good stuff there. Mason, Crystal, or Musty, please. Gonna see lots of that, I think, as we get closer and closer down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I mean, I'm in a weird way, I'm almost more excited to see the Ducks New Jerseys than I am to see who they actually pick here, RJ.
Yeah, you know what? We've got to be looking for those jerseys. I mean, can we get a peek? Are they at the draft? They must be holding them.
I was gonna say they're gonna be in that first row. It's closest. No, he's right. They're right behind Kyle Davidson. Is the problem? That's the problem. Let's see. Wonder if the latest perceived drama around Michkov will derail the salty people still complaining about Shane. Probably not. Nothing will derail those people at this point.
If it was going to be derailed, it would have happened already. It's going to happen forever, unfortunately.
Yeah. Agreed. Ducks to botch this pick, please, from Mike McBob. I mean, yes, for Seattle, you don't want the Ducks to make a smart move here.
That's true. Whoever the Ducks pick here, I mean, they're going to be going toe to toe with the Kraken for the next decade plus. Yeah, you probably are hoping that they botch this pick a little bit.
I was going to say, we already know it's going to be Maddie versus McTavish for a long time, right? Picks 2 and 3 in the 2021 draft. Matty Beniers is going to be the top line center of the Kraken. McTavish will be the top line center for the Ducks. Now we get to see like the long-term potential, person who's going to be going up against Shane Wright, RJ. Right? Kraken got their 2C of the future last year in Shane Wright. Ducks looking to add their 2C. It's going to be interesting.
It is really interesting.
Yeah. What would the package be for the 11th pick if Benson falls? Mason wondering.
I feel like Vancouver just out of principle wouldn't make that trade with Seattle.
With Seattle, it's possible. It is possible that they would do something like that. I don't know. In general, what would that pick be? I mean, like, what would the package have to be to move up to 11, depending on where else?
Yeah.
Probably like 2 seconds this year, plus your first later in the first round. That'd be my guess.
It starts with 20, obviously. I think it might take all 3 seconds.
It's
or something
possible. Yeah.
equivalent to that, 2 seconds and a third. From 20 to 11 in this draft class, it's 9 picks, pretty high. I think it takes a lot. I know
Yeah.
they have pick value charts that I
Yeah.
could try and consult real quick, but it would be a lot.
Yeah, you might be able to go with like 2 seconds this year and then a second next year kind of thing. But yeah, you're probably right. Um,
Here we go. Draft pick value chart. Let's go. If I can consult this really quick. All right. So pick 11 has a value of 5.7.
mhm.
Pick 20 has 4.0.
It's a big
Um,
difference.
yeah. And so then the Kraken have what, 50 and 52? 50 has a value of 1.6. So that would get them to 5.6 of the 5.7. So maybe
Basically
2
enough.
seconds is more accurate.
Yeah.
All right.
See, I know these things, RJ.
Although that's pick value by
Oh, there's the Ducks
like
table.
by game score value added, not by like what actual trades have happened.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
so
I
it would
think
be
they probably
higher
value
than,
them higher than that. Yeah.
yeah, if you're moving up.
There's the Ducks table. Somebody's getting up and going up towards the stage, so I'd have to
I
imagine that
don't
might
see any jerseys yet.
be the draft card going to be submitted. Now they've gotten the okay to stand up. They're gonna go up there. Alex, I feel like I'd bring binoculars if I went to the draft just to try to see all the potential deals before they happen. I mean, RJ and I have done that. Like,
Yes.
I mean, maybe not exactly, but we've certainly been looking around. Every time a GM gets up and talking on their cell phone, they walk kind of away from all the hubbub. You're like, oh, is that what's happening? I remember in 2015, the Phil Kessel trade was kind of imminent. Everyone knew Phil Kessel needed to be moved. Didn't know where he was going to go. And so every time we saw anybody that was rumored to be in on Phil Kessel move, we were really dialed into that, RJ.
Yes, we were. It's one of the most fun things about going to the draft.
Definitely. So
All
the
right.
Ducks
Pick is in for the
Ducks
Ducks.
are up there. Feel free to announce it, RJ, because you have audio and I don't. So
Okay, sounds good. Given the speech.
yeah.
There you go. Want to thank the fans watching at the draft party.
Mm-hmm. You got to bug the arena during the
Oh,
season.
Leo Carlson.
All right, there it is.
Leo Carlson.
So,
all right.
yeah, so Leo Carlson going to the Ducks, second overall. That is interesting. Again, it was rumored earlier in the day. I guess there was more to that than normal. Than
Wow.
maybe we expected. But like I said earlier, he kind of fits the mold of what they lost in Ryan Getzlaf, what the organization kind of tends to value. I mean, you just look at the size right there that he has. He likes to play in and around the net. I think that's something that the Ducks don't really have anybody who does that currently on the team, and I think they could use that long term. And then just the bottom line is he's super smart. Like, he's crazy smart. As you see Adam Fantilli come down and congratulate him there, that's a nice classy move on his part. But yeah, so I still think this is a good pick for the Ducks overall. I think he's a really smart guy. I said he was going to have like a 15-year career in the NHL as mostly a point per game guy. It's hard to argue against that, right?
Yeah, no, it is. He's very good. He's going to be a solid center for the Ducks for a long time. And I get the rationale of this move for them. And I mean, clearly this is one where you trust your scouts, right? They see something they like in him. This one tells me it's a scouts type of pick. And the Ducks have good scouts. They've scouted well. They've drafted well. It's going to be really interesting with him. I wonder if the timeline, Dylan, do you think like the timeline for him getting into a Ducks sweater and being someone who could, be a thorn in the Kraken's side is maybe a little bit longer than for an Adam Fantilli?
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance that he doesn't play with the Ducks all of this year. I could see him come over and they might want to put him in San Diego, right? Because he's a European prospect. I could see that potentially for them, and then you just delay that ELC. Whereas Fantilli would most assuredly be joining them this year if he was the pick. In which case, yeah, that kind of extends their timeline, but it also extends, maybe their competitive window a little bit. It makes them a little bit stronger because they'll have an extra year of cheap contract to work with while he gets used to the North American game. I saw a thing, Mason, what's the logic here? It's not like Fantilli isn't physical or big. Carlson's is a little bit bigger, and like I said, he plays more in the areas in which you want that physicality, especially net front. That's something that he brings that Fantilli doesn't play as much net front. Now, Fantilli's better in the corners and better at winning puck battles, but Carlson playing in Europe, as you watch all these highlight reels on, European ice and stuff, he hasn't necessarily had to do that before, but I mean, you look at how much bigger he looks than everybody else, certainly at his age, and he's going to be able to. And that's where, if he does come over to North America, you maybe stick him in the AHL, you stick him in San Diego, you give him a year just to get used to playing physical on the smaller ice surface, and then he'll be ready to go in Anaheim.
That's really nice to be able to do that, isn't it? Be able to send your recent draft pick in the AHL to develop a little bit more.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's almost maybe if you are on the fence between two prospects, maybe that does send some general managers kind of over the top on one versus another.
Because development is really important too. It's not just about who you pick; it's how you develop them and how they get to the NHL, and it can make a big difference. Backhand saw saying Pronman masterclass. Did Pronman mock this? Did he predict this?
Yeah, this morning that was part of his
Wow.
latest mock.
Okay.
So that's what I was saying. It was going around this morning for
I'm
sure.
I'm at the point where, man, if Pronman says it like the morning of the draft, I'm really listening. Yeah, it's happening.
He's by far and away the most plugged in with that stuff. I totally get that. Yeah. I still question some of his mocks before the day of mock, but boy, those day of mocks are pretty dead on.
Yeah. Peniotis has quite a few smiles at the Columbus table right now, understandably.
Well, I was just gonna say, right? Columbus now, Fantilli's on the board. This is the center that they've never had. Ever.
Yeah. It's just a no-brainer, right? I mean, you have to just go Fantilli and be glad that you did.
Yeah, you absolutely have to. Absolutely have to. Let's see. Have any of the prospects stared at the camera yet from DJ Singletone? No. As far as I know, nobody has. Maybe we'll get that from Fantilli.
None did last year officially.
Yeah, officially. Maybe we'll get that from Fantilli. Who knows?
Yeah. Man, I'm sorry, I can't help but think about it for the Sharks. If you had got one fewer point in the regular season, you'd have Adam Fantilli.
Well,
or maybe not. Maybe they just draft Will Smith instead because that's how they operate.
It might be. Who knows what then happens with the lottery, right? Like it becomes a lot of different things all go into it. But I mean, there's so much of that end of the year, right? I mean, if things change like just a little bit, then Chicago technically has less points than Anaheim. Does then Anaheim win the lottery and get Bedard? Right? Like, yeah, there's a lot of that kind of stuff. You can really look at. Michael, from an interdivisional standpoint, I'm quite happy the Ducks picked Leo over Fantilli. Yeah, we'll find out. I think Fantilli has stronger defensive upside. I think Leo Carlson has a stronger offensive upside. So, I could see like a Carlson playing really well with a Trevor Zegras. Didn't look like McTavish and Zegras necessarily had a ton of chemistry. Carlson's got the big body, likes to drive the net. He could open up space for Zegras. This could be a really scary thing for the Kraken in the future.
Yeah, no, I don't necessarily feel any better about this in terms of the Kraken's future than if they had picked Fantilli. Yeah. It's a dangerous team no matter what. So pick is in for Columbus. Feels like they didn't take very long. Yeah, I don't see any surprises here. You think they're going Fantilli?
They must be. Like I said, right? They've never had a center. That's like always been the thing. They've never had that true franchise center. Thought they had it in Pierre-Luc Dubois. That things didn't work out there. Part of that was Tortorella, though. Don't have to deal with that anymore. Just got to deal with Mike Babcock instead.
Oh gosh, you're right.
Imagine
we got John Davidson up on the stage.
Yep. It's gonna be. Yeah, I would be shocked if it wasn't Fantilli.
Yeah, I would too.
That would definitely be the surprise of the draft. Rusty Road asking who's getting Michkov. Who knows? I still think San Jose should do it. I don't think they will, but I think they should. And I do agree with everybody. He doesn't fall past the Capitals at 8.
No, I certainly don't think he falls past 8. I mean, the fact that he's there, he seemed to impress a lot of teams in these run up to the draft too. Oh, yeah, Fantilli, he's the pick.
Yep, Fantilli to Columbus at 3. I love that color suit, by the way.
That's nice.
Got on. It's a really, really nice suit.
I don't know, maybe he was going with the Ducks eggplant.
Oh, maybe.
Oh, wait, the new jersey. Hang on, the new Ducks jersey. Yeah. What happened with that?
Well, they showed the 30th anniversary logo. It's on the crest, like it's being worn as a crest on Carlson's jersey. But as far as I could tell, the jersey itself, it just looked like the black. Was it just the black jersey, but with the Mighty Ducks logo?
Yeah, it was like their black third jersey that they've already had. It was. Yeah, well, no, this is a jersey they've already.
Because the third jersey they have has the Mighty Ducks logo, but it's on orange. They've never had the Mighty Ducks logo on a black with orange trim jersey. So if that's what this is, then that is a new jersey.
Oh, Okay, it just looks like an ugly third jersey that they had already.
It's black though, right?
Yes.
And it has
Oh,
the Mighty
maybe
Ducks logo.
it doesn't have the Mighty Duck. No, it has the
No,
D,
it has
like the
this
Web
the
D
D.
on the front.
Then yeah, all they
Yeah.
did was reveal then the 30th anniversary logo that's on the crest.
Okay.
Then
No, that makes sense.
then if it's a New Jersey, they just did maybe I noticed the Mighty Ducks logo on the shoulders. Maybe that's new. But
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, Fantilli going to Columbus. He's going to play day one in Columbus. The question is, how high in the lineup could he play, RJ? I mean, Mason Fantilli is smiling knowing he gets to play with Gaudreau. I mean, do you think he could be centering Gaudreau and Line day one?
I mean, I would try it. I would
Who
certainly
else
try it
is,
through the
right?
preseason and see how it works. If I'm Columbus, like, why not put him in a spot to succeed? I think he's in a great spot given the wingers here. He's got a lot of, like, is that text or words on the
Yeah,
back of
it's
his
words on the back of
vest there?
his vest there. I was wondering what that was too.
Huh.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's an interesting call if you're Columbus. Obviously, like I said, he's gonna play. I doubt you're gonna send him back to Michigan. Um, yeah, I really doubt that. Like I said, if it was Carlson, I would be maybe more on board with that idea, but not for him. I mean, I'm looking. Is their top center really like Jack Roslovich?
I think so. With what they
Like,
have right now, they do not have a lot at center. I mean, that's been the story for the Blue Jackets for basically their entire franchise history.
yeah.
They just for so long they've been looking for a franchise center. You got to think they found it now, right?
Yes, yes. Again, is there maybe limited offensive upside long term compared to a Carlson or certainly a Bedard? Yes, there could be limited offensive upside to Adam Fantilli, but I've been on the whole Adam Fantilli might be better for a franchise long term than Bedard just because he plays a more complete game. He does have physicality. He does back check and play defense. He is good through transition in a different way, slightly more usable come playoff time way than
Yep.
a Connor Bedard. So this is definitely the franchise piece they've been looking for a long time. And look, they're going to have Johnny Gaudreau for a while. We'll see what they end up doing long term with Patrick Laine. They don't need him to be the 100-point player. They just need him to give those guys space to be the special players that they already are.
Right. I remember, what was it, 2016? They thought they had found their future center long term
Pierre-Luc Dubois.
with a third overall pick with Pierre-Luc Dubois. Of course, him just getting moved yesterday
Yep.
in a trade here to LA. Funny
From
how
a
that
different
works.
team after he'd already been
From a
traded.
different team.
That's what I was saying. Like, they thought they had that, and then John Tortorella kind of blew it all up. So we'll see if Mike Babcock does the same thing with Fantilli. It's a
too
fear
many
that
similarities there. I don't like that.
I know it's a fear that I think Columbus Blue Jackets fans kind of have to have in the back of their minds. Gino Miauka and Boone Jenner has been their 1C. I know, but is Boone Jenner really a top line center in this league? Not really. Like, it is kind of nice. He can play net front. Again, he can provide a little bit of space for a Johnny Gaudreau, but not in the same way. Fantilli playing really well in the slot and particularly getting the puck to the slot. Like, that's one of the things I love about Fantilli is he can go and dig out the puck behind the goal line or in the corners, and then he knows how to get it to the slot right where somebody's going to be. And that's something that I think is going to be really, really valuable for Columbus. I know Johnny Gaudreau maybe isn't always going to be in the slot, but Patrick Laine could be.
Yeah, no, I think, Laine certainly. I mean, you're going to have goal scorers. Fantilli's a good and creative enough player to find ways to help those guys score goals. Yeah. Picture here from David Pagnotta on Twitter. Bedard about to sign his ELC. It looks like they're handing him some kind of contract or some paperwork there. That'd be funny to just have him sign it right there.
At the draft, yeah, I don't think that's ever happened before. Usually, you will see them do it like back home in front of fans.
It would fit to have him do it there, given how quickly they rushed up to the table to select him. I mean, just communicate that enthusiasm. I kind of like that idea if that's what he is in fact doing.
Yeah, no, it would be. And is that at the Blackhawks table or is it behind the scenes?
It's at the Blackhawks table.
Okay, yeah, then that could be what it is. Maybe it's a letter of intent, RJ. It's a commitment letter.
There you go. As we see Emily Kaplan interviewing Adam Fantilli right now.
Cameron, he wouldn't do what Matty did and go back, would he? I mean, it's possible if he, felt like he really needed to or something like that. But I mean, Fantilli had a better season than Matty did. right? Like Matty, it was obvious. Matty needed to go back and work on his offensive game, get his shot stronger, do all those things. Like he was not as complete of a prospect as Fantilli is right now. And I got to think, also let's be real, right? If Fantilli thought he was going second overall to the Ducks for the last 4 months, and now he's not, he's got a chip on his shoulder. And what better way of working that off than going to Columbus and trying to be, an NHL star right away.
Exactly. All right, pick is in for the Sharks here. Mike Greer to announce it.
All right, we'll see. What do you think they do, RJ?
It's
gut
going to be
reaction?
Will Smith because that's just what they do.
Probably. It's definitely going to be interesting. Michkov now from Darren, Mason saying Michkov. I think it's what they should do.
It's what they should do, but the Sharks haven't done what they should do for a little while now.
Yes.
Stop me if I'm being too pessimistic here, but
hey, look, it's fine. They're in the division with the Kraken. It's fine.
Yeah, no, I'm fine. I'm fine.
We don't want them to also be like trending upwards the way the Ducks are, right? Like that would be bad.
Yeah.
Is that Marlowe? Yep.
So they're bringing out Marlowe. I think he's gonna
player development coach. Okay, brought him back into the organization. There it is. Will Smith to the Sharks, 4th overall.
That's again probably good for the Kraken.
Yeah.
Hopefully you don't have Michkov in the division at this point.
Yeah, I mean, look, Will Smith is a player that as I was watching him for the mock draft and everything, I don't totally see what everybody else is seeing. Granted, I'm not watching nearly as much as everyone else is watching. I still think that there's elements of he played on a truly special line alongside Ryan Leonard and Gabe Perreault. And I also think there's elements of I do want to see him against tougher competition than he had to face in the USHL. But he's going to get all that at Boston College, so we'll see.
Yeah, no, he certainly will get that. I mean, the Boston connections there. Oh, who's got that brown suit on? Is that one of his teammates? Oh, look at the inside of that suit. What is
the lining of that suit was definitely something. What do you think of all of them going with the vest and everything underneath? Well, no, Leo Carlson just had a shirt, right? No.
Yep.
Yeah. There you go.
I don't mind it.
Yeah. Let's see. So that one's
the Fresh Prince song. Are they playing that? I can't hear it with the volume where it's at.
Well, that would be really funny. That would be really, really funny. I just like his 1960s haircut there. But yes, he's going to go to Boston College for at least a year, maybe 2, I think is possible for him. I mean, they've got his NHL comp, Sebastian Aho. That's, I guess, not terrible, given the kind of style, the way they like to attack off the rush. Look, he is a guy that if you can just get the puck close to him, he's going to get a shot off. And a lot of times throughout the course of this season, that shot ended up going in. It was a goal. So he's really good at taking advantage of broken plays defensively. If defenseman gets pulled out of position, he's going to pounce on that kind of stuff. He's a smart player in that way and in that regard. I'd like to see, again, just given how the NHL has become, maybe for him to be a little bit better through the neutral zone with the puck, as far as attacking and driving offense with the puck through the neutral zone and entering the offensive zone. But that's something that I'm sure, given what he can do, he can work on as well. But he likes the slot, and that's, not everybody does, RJ, and that is something that's valuable.
Yeah, I mean, it's where you go if you want to create offense and score. I mean, watching some highlights here that they're playing in a little highlight package. Good shot, able to get behind the D. Again, level of competition. It looks a little too easy on some of these highlight package videos. But that doesn't mean he's not skilled. We've seen a lot of skilled players come out of the U.S. development program. It's a little hard to judge. But I'm sure, again, Greer with the connection, I'm sure he's sold on Will Smith and what he's able to do talent-wise.
Exactly. Let's see. Mason, I can't see the next 3 teams taking Michkov. Arizona might, right? They don't need
I could
him
see
right
Arizona.
away.
I could even see Montreal doing it potentially.
Yeah, I could too. Backhand Sauce asking, is Montreal taking Reinbacher? It's possible if they want to add to the blue line.
That one wouldn't it wouldn't surprise me if they took Reinbacher.
Yeah. I mean, they could still trade down. They got 2 minutes. What?
Is he okay? Will Smith's about to sing the Fresh Prince song. At Max and relaxing, all cool. All right, yeah, he's doing.
Okay.
That's cool.
All right, there we go.
Have Emily Kaplan getting him to do that.
I know. Sierra, but if Smith hadn't gone to the Sharks, I wonder if he would have considered it a slap to the face. See what you did there. Nice job. And Jen, no one will be able to top Ty Nelson and his epic hat. No, that hat was definitely epic, especially for a day 2 guy.
Oh yeah, no,
It's a lot of swag to be showing up knowing you're not going in the first round. Bessie Railroad, what's the rumor for Montreal? I mean, the rumor has been that they've been trying to trade down all day, or at least they've been open to it all day.
Well, recently though, because Kent Hughes was asked about it right at the start of the draft, and he said more than 50% chance they hang on to the pick.
Okay.
So, which is kind of the default that I always assume teams are gonna.
Yeah, I was gonna say
go with.
That's
we haven't
saying
seen a team trade a pick
to,
yet.
To whichever team has been closest all day in negotiations. That's him saying, "You've got like half an hour, bud."
Yeah, to knock my socks off here. You got to raise your offer.
Some good stuff there. So we'll see. I mean, look, they're taking longer than I feel like the last couple picks have taken. Just as far as the fact that it hasn't already said the pick is in, then they're just waiting for the broadcast to kind of do their thing. Like this is actually the clock is actually going down.
Yeah, I think they are listening, and you do listen up until the last second until pick is in. All right.
Oh, never mind. And they are getting up, so they're making the pick themselves. The draft table's gotten up. So there, you can basically tell everybody who stays sitting at that table, those are the scouts. Everybody else, that's the rest of the front office and management, and the ownership group and all those people. Those are all the people who get up and walk up on the stage. Everyone who stays are the scouts.
Now, one name I wonder about here is Ryan Leonard. There was some talk of him going higher than maybe expected as teams were looking for like the next Matthew Tkachuk. And I know we both disagree with the idea that he is, but do you think Montreal is one of those teams that could be wowed by him?
Look, they were wowed last year by just skill with size, without like really looking at the complete picture of Slavkovsky's game, how well it was going to translate year 1. Was he really somebody who kind of deserved to be that first overall pick in a year like that, for a winger especially, right? We know that they are prone to do that. So yes, if Montreal went that way, I guess it wouldn't totally surprise me.
Yeah.
I haven't agreed with a lot of the decisions they've made in the last little bit.
Yeah. No, I think Kent Hughes has done a good job. Congratulating the Golden Knights. Come on, man.
I know. It was a great moment, Daniel, when Matty won the Calder and how it all went down. It was fantastic.
Oh yeah, they're bringing up Carey Price.
Carey Price, yep. I'll see who they go with here. Look,
Ryan Bacher.
All right.
Wait, what?
I was just gonna say, like,
he said David already?
Oh, did he?
What?
Did you forget the name? What's going on? I thought he was just playing with everybody. But then Hughes had to come up and actually make the pick. So what, did he just forget the name?
Yeah, I think maybe he did. What happened there?
That was certainly something.
All
right, though, but this is a good pick for them, right? Like, this is a guy that you can build a blue line around for a very, very long time. He's going to be rock solid defensively. He's going to bring some offense to the table. I mean, that's valuable stuff. He can be that minute muncher, right? That we look at all the top teams have, all the Stanley Cup contenders, and they have somebody who can eat 23, 24 minutes. This is that guy. And he might be the only truly one of those guys in this draft class. There usually is only one guy per draft class.
It seems like there's nobody else quite like him. Certainly as you get into these later picks in a very forward heavy draft, if you want a top defenseman, this is the spot you have to do it. They certainly weren't getting him if they were trading down. So yeah, no, I understand this pick. Yeah, he forgot Ryan Bacher's name. I'm just looking at the chat blowing up here with this. Oof, that was hilarious. He got 5-hold.
Yeah, it was definitely unfortunate. It's Carey Price, so cut him some slack.
Oh yeah, no, he's a legend. It's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I really do like this from Montreal. And it makes me wonder, if they had done maybe something different next year, how bright the future last year, how bright their future could be looking right now.
I know, right? Yeah, if they had taken I don't know. I mean, if you take like a Nemec or a Cooley, last year.
Mhm.
Or are you talking about a Shane Wright?
Literally any of those three. Certainly, if you had
Okay.
taken like Nemec, like boy, could you imagine a pairing of him with Reinbacher? Like that would be insane.
Yeah, it really would be. Oh, I think it opened you up to maybe take a forward here.
Yeah,
Um, that's it. I just don't know. It's such a forward heavy draft, and there's so many good forwards still on the board right now.
that's
I don't know.
part of
You
this.
better believe that Reinbacher can be a true number one franchise defenseman. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, he's the closest guy to it. So he's the one I would be gambling on if that's what you're hoping for. That's obviously what they do. Um, we'll go down as the
Backhand
draft
sauce. That's a
comes
lot of
here.
value left on the table. Teams will never stop forcing defensemen too early. I do kind of feel that way about this pick. I think teams do force defensemen too early. You better be sure you have a Hedman or a Heiskanen or a Makar, somebody who's worthy of that. I don't know. Dylan, do you think Reinbacher is that guy? I know I've already kind of asked you indirectly, but do you think he's that guy?
I look, is he Victor Hedman? No, I'm not gonna say that he is, but nobody thought Victor Hedman was necessarily that either at pick 2 or back in 2009 or 8 9. I just think that it's, he is, like I said, he's the only one with the potential to be, right? And so in that sense it makes sense to go ahead and take him. He's the only guy that's above average at literally everything. He could be great defensively. Is he going to have the offense of Cale Makar? No, he's not, but very few people do. I think it's one of those, you're taking a guy who's going to be a rock solid defender, and he's going to be good enough moving the puck. He's going to be good enough walking the blue line. He's going to be good enough shooting the puck that, yes, he's going to be valuable to you. He might not be as good a puck mover as Victor Hedman, but Victor Hedman wasn't when he was young either, right? Like this is one of those, you don't know until 4 years from now when he's 22 whether or not it's going to play. What the hell are you like sneakily trying like smiling about?
Nothing.
What are you
Okay.
doing?
I just I am this. I
You
am
asked me a
actually. I'm
question
in.
that you totally distract me with this ridiculous face. What's going on?
Sorry. I'm enjoying. I'm enjoying Jeff Baker live tweeting the draft. I'll just say that much. It's
Okay, that's
entertaining to
fair.
me.
That's very
I just
fair.
read a tweet. It's yeah. Sorry.
That's very
Continue.
fair. So look, it's one of those where I think that yeah, I think this one's acceptable. If someone else was to go in the top 10, I would say yeah, they're reaching for a defenseman. But for this guy, if you believe you can develop him properly, yeah, come the time he's 22, I don't see why he couldn't be maybe that guy.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, again, I'm no scout.
Right.
I
So this
so
is
but if
why
you
this is why
uh,
like all through the middle, like from like pick 11 through to, 20, I didn't have defensemen because really that's where you'd be reaching on a lot of these defensemen. And we know probably 3 defensemen will go in that range this year. And
mhm,
those are going to be the ones where it's again, you're reaching for a defenseman because you need a defenseman.
right. So you do believe it's a big drop off now from Reinbacher
I
to
do.
the next
Yeah. He
defenseman.
was he was the S tier defenseman. After him, it's Pelika and Simishev for me. As the A tier guys, and then it's like Willander, maybe Bonk, Gulyayev. Those are the guys in the B tier for me. Below that,
Yeah.
so I think we'll see Pelika and Simishev go somewhere between 10 and 20, and it'll just be because a team falls in love with the offense of Pelika, and we'll see a team fall in love with the defensive and maybe skating of Simishev.
Right.
It's insane to me that somebody could be as big as Simishev is, as great defensively as he is, skate and puck handle the way he is, and then just be completely clueless as to like what's happening offensively. How does that happen?
I know. It's just the kind of thing that I bet you some team is like, yeah, we can coach that. We can make him figure it
Yeah,
out. We can have that switch flip in his mind here.
yeah.
Um, so now the Coyotes are coming up to the stage in all of their burgundy suits. What do you think
Yep.
about this, Dylan? They've had the
I like
matching
it.
outfits 2 years in a row. I love it personally.
It's great. The organization's on the same page. I think that's an important message to send. Um,
Oh yeah,
all,
especially
all of
now.
that, I think it's good. Malkin, if the Coyotes pick Michkov, he'll just not come to the NHL unless he's traded. I mean, I think so, and I think the Coyotes would do that understanding that. Right? Like they would pick
Yeah.
him here as a tradable asset. They don't need him in the short term. They don't need him in the long term. They already have too many forward prospects. If they all panned out, they could never play them all. And they still have like 25,000, first and second round picks in the next
Yeah.
upcoming couple drafts.
Yeah. And there's no defenseman worth taking here either, as we just outlined. So
Right.
might as
So
well, shoot
yeah,
for the ceiling here.
Right. You take him and you trade him later, for a
Yeah.
ransom of maybe
I don't know.
guys that
Do you
can help
think
you
do you
out
think
or a
he'd want to come
defenseman.
over and play in Houston?
I don't know. I don't know.
If so, you cross that bridge when you come to it.
You talk to him, right? Like that's all this stuff. And
Yeah.
that's something that goes back to the Ducks taking Carlson at 2, right? It's entirely possible that they just talked with him. They felt like he was a better fit, you know,
Yeah.
culturally for their team than Fantilli was. They're certainly very different guys. You can just tell that listening to them talk.
Whoa. Simashev. We
Look at
talked
even
about no
he's
defenseman
shocked.
worth. He can't believe it.
Simashev is like completely shocked by that. That is hysterical.
Wow.
Why not trade down then? Like
I
if you know
know.
you're going
You
Simashev,
also
why
you
not
have
trade
pick
down?
12. What pick do they have? Don't they have
They
a
have
later
12.
pick?
Yes, they have
They
pick
have pick
12.
12.
Just call up Washington and be like, "Hey, you want Michkov? Like, let's just do it.
Yeah.
Let's just trade back 2
Just
spots."
just give us whatever. Just give us a little sweetener, something.
Yeah.
Huge reach. And again, I like Simashev. We were hoping
Yes.
maybe that he'd go to the Kraken, but we're
Yes.
talking pick 20 versus pick 6. Oh, this is a big reach.
That's a massive reach unless they think they can work with him offensively, RJ.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. So I mean, you talk about guys like with Reinbacher, if he has the best chance to be that guy, that number 1D, that Victor Hedman type, whatever.
Yeah,
I do think Simashev in this class has the second best chance, but
probably.
I think more than like Sandin Pellikka,
Yeah. Yeah, agreed.
just the upside. But man, the value on this pick is pretty bad. Oh, look at that movie made offense. Look at
That's
that.
what I'm saying.
Okay,
He can
they
he can
found the one.
No, he can totally puck handle, he can totally skate. Like the only thing is that he doesn't know like where to pass the puck and like what he's doing in regards to that kind of stuff. And so that's the thing
Mhm.
is if you can teach him just to run like, hey, in this situation, you go here, or let's just learn to, use your hockey smarts that you have defensively to work in the offensive zone, then yeah, he could turn into the best defenseman in this whole class. It's just, in my opinion, usually that's harder to coach than it seems like it should be. And we've seen teams struggle to teach that to guys. And so that was my concern with him, was just that he's going to be, if ever there was a defenseman that, you're in a playoff series against the Vegas Golden Knights and he's got it at the offensive zone blue line, and then he makes a dumb pass and he just sends it right to, Mark Stone to take the other way. This is the guy who would do that.
Yeah. No, that's true. I still can't believe I'm watching the video back of Simashev's reaction. He really couldn't believe it.
No, you could tell he was not expecting that at all.
So there's the
Wow.
first of the 14 players I made a graphic for
Off the
to
board.
be picked off
At
the board.
6.
So I know it's 6. So I really didn't think he'd be the first one off the board. I thought it'd be Zach Benson, but
Yeah.
we'll see how it continues to shake out here.
Yeah.
I will delete the Simashev graphic.
Okay.
There we go.
Let's see. Backhand sauce. I like Simashev, but this feels like peak 200s and 2000s and 2010s of teams reaching for the huge defenders in the top 15. Oh, like Dylan McElrath going 10th overall to the Rangers in 2010, maybe. And well, I mean, I know maybe I shouldn't bring him up considering he just captained the Hershey Bears past the Firebirds, but it gives you an idea of like where his career went also for a top 10 pick. Let's see. Wow, that one's a big one. There we go. First real big surprise there. Even bigger than the Carlson to the Ducks. Stratic, generally, do you think it makes more sense to trade a pick or pick a player and trade the rights? I think each situation is unique. I think usually just go ahead and trade the pick. It's usually simpler and cleaner that way. You don't have to worry about, say, the prospect then having a terrible a terrible post-draft year, and then it hurts his value. I just think Michkov is such a unique, special situation that this would have been the time to go ahead and take that gamble and do something like that and handle the asset that way. I think he is more valuable as a player that you have the rights to than maybe the pick itself was.
Getting a tweet out here because I think if this signals a trend of teams reaching for defense, like if this is a trend, you might see any defenseman really worth taking by 20 be well off the board.
Right.
And so you might have some really good forward options. Like I'm leaning toward, again, if this continues, like if you get Sandin Pellikka going in the top 12 or whatever it is, just go with the best forward if you're the Kraken.
Yes, and I think they will. I think my guess is Pellikka is the only other guy that they would consider in the top 20, unless they feel spectacular about like a Willander. it's possible. I even wouldn't necessarily hate Willander either. I just think that all of the forwards, they all are good, but they all are either really good at one thing or they're just kind of pretty good at everything. And so I do wonder about like the long term, who of that really benefits the Kraken.
Hmm.
And I don't really know that it is a forward. Like, so, I will just put it out there. If they do go with a Willander at 20, that still might be the best thing for the organization long term over, say,
Maybe
Colby
I'm
Barlow.
Yeah, well, Colby Barlow, yeah, I think so. But like, just generally, I mean, what's your philosophy on? Because I tend to lean toward forwards in the first round, just because
Just
unless you think you're getting one of those top pairing, like a next Hedman, Heiskanen, Makar, one of those type of guys. Generally, you can find guys who are like a top four guy, but not an elite guy. Whether it's through free agency trades, those guys are made available. It's just that the really high end ones aren't. Versus forwards, this is your time you can swing for the fences and get a real difference maker.
yeah, but how often do we see that picks, 20 to 32, right? Because that's where the
In a
Kraken are going
draft
to be
class
drafting
like
to now.
this, well, that's the thing. In a draft class like this, I think you
Well,
can see it.
I see. I think you're gonna find a lot of guaranteed top six wingers, but I don't know that you're gonna find like a top six forward. But I don't know that you're gonna find a special forward here either. So it is one of those like I don't know. I think there's just issues with everybody that, and there's still so many picks before the Kraken go, right? The
Yeah.
truly special guys that I am excited about, like say a Matthew Wood, I still don't think he's making it to 20. Zach Benson's still probably not making it to 20. Those are still like the difference making guys. We've still got what 13 picks to go. Is there
Yeah.
13
Yeah.
forwards you feel that way about, RJ?
Well, I mean,
Because
as far
that's
as
what there
potential,
needs to
I mean,
be.
if it like causes a Matthew Wood to drop,
Yeah, but does Simbashev being taken a little early or Pelika? I mean,
yeah,
most people
maybe no.
had
I'm
them
saying
picked
if it's a
already.
trend, if you have teams really like, if a lot of those defensemen are going, so we'll see. It definitely takes more than this. All right,
Yeah.
Flyers about to pick here.
Let's see who they go
There
with.
we go. Flyers take
Each
Michkov.
cup. All right, there you go.
Interesting. I
I
mean,
mean,
they go with the best player on the board. I can't argue with that.
nope.
Um,
Right. I mean, we were just talking about like guaranteed difference makers. He is that guy.
yeah, and when you're really just starting from scratch, as this
Yeah.
organization is, like just a full on tear down and rebuild, you've got the time to wait,
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
and you've got to pick a guy who can lead that charge in the rebuild. I think this is a great pick for them.
Right. I think.
Surprisingly good. I thought they would go with like a Ryan Leonard maybe.
Yeah. No. I mean, there's been a lot of the rumblings that Michkov could go to the Flyers. I think it makes sense for them. Um, Certainly more than a Ryan Leonard. Look, he's the second best player in the draft. He's certainly the second best, when it comes to offensive skill player in the draft. There's no question about that. Watch him do a Michigan there. Um, he's just so supremely skilled. He can score from anywhere. He's got the puck skills, all that kind of stuff. Obviously, the one thing that everybody was concerned about was, like the attitude towards coming towards North to coming to North America and all of that. The Flyers would have done their due diligence. It sounded like he impressed everybody, like you said earlier, in the pre-draft meetings that he's had this week. So yeah, obviously the Flyers feel, hey, in a year or two he'll be able to join them, and everything's going to be good for them, and they'll be further along in the rebuilding process too. He'll be surrounded by maybe some better players than if he was to, join them this season.
Yeah. Now
I mean,
let's
yeah.
move aside from like Connor Bedard because that one's obvious. But is this the best pick in the draft so far?
I mean, Columbus taking Fantilli at 3s might
Oh, that's
be more
yeah. You know
so
what?
that.
That's probably it.
Yeah, I think that's probably it. But this is, in that conversation, right? And
Hmm.
Bedard, is that even a good pick? Like it's like the most no-brainer pick that's like ever. It's like McDavid. Did
Right.
Edmonton
Well, let's
really
say
make a
I
good
think
pick taking McDavid?
knowing
No.
yeah, knowing you, if
Yeah.
you were giving out draft pick grades for every like first round pick, I feel like you'd give that a C, the Bedard pick,
Yeah,
because like, oh yeah, it's what they were supposed to do.
yeah, like I would probably just give it like an NA. Like it's not applicable. Like you just can't.
I think that's fair.
How do you even judge something like that when it's a Bedard pick? Whereas
Yeah.
this is definitely getting an A, right? Like this is basically just like the Sharks, right? It's the same situation. You're looking at a
Hmm.
rebuild that's going to take 3 or 4 years. Why not go ahead and take the guy that you might not be able to get for at least a year? You could always potentially buy out the contract at that point, work something out. But yeah, why not take the guy that's going to take a little bit longer to get here, but has the longer and higher upside than anybody else that's available, right? And that's what I
Yeah.
thought the Sharks maybe should have considered, and it's certainly something the Flyers should have considered. And I got to think now we're going to see Washington take a long time to make their selection.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think the slam dunk that was going to fall to them is no longer there. Oh, here I want to listen to what they're saying to Mishkov. He's got a translator with him.
I mean,
I'm glad to be with the Flyers. I have no words. Such emotional moment.
mm,
Quite, I think he thinks quite soon it's his dream to be there.
yeah, it kind of sounded like that's the way things were leaning.
His dream is to win the Stanley Cup.
All right, there you go. Yeah, because I mean, boy, everything like the attitude towards him really seemed to shift this week once he was there. Like once
Right.
NHL
Once
teams
he
could
was
talk to him, it seemed like every single worry or question they had was all kind of erased.
Yeah, it really did. I mean, it basically again just him being there and I think having good attitude about everything and like, it's almost like this scary Russian factor once you get to see, oh, he's just a person. Like, look at that, then it's
Yeah,
fine. So I think that helped him quite a bit.
yeah. So, it's a good pick for the Flyers. I mean, I don't like that, but I'm sure they'll
Yeah.
figure out some way of ruining it later.
Hey, you know what? He's out of the conference.
Yeah. Well, for the Kraken, that's definitely true.
Yeah.
Um, let's see here. Uh, yeah, Draver really likes this pick for them. Odds on Washington trading back from Dalek. It's definitely possible. Like if I'm Washington, I am like working the phone to see about it. Now that the guy you probably were really hoping would be there isn't there.
Oh
Although they're
yeah,
getting up
certainly.
from the
I just
table.
don't know who would trade up. Like who's going to give up assets maybe Nashville.
Yes, if somebody likes Ryan Leonard, say, right? They do believe he's the next Kachuk.
Yeah.
Then that's the way you could go. If somebody really likes Zach Benson, or they feel like, wow, Simashev's already off the board. If I love Pelika, I need to go up and get him. Right? Like that, we're in range for that kind of stuff now for the first time.
We got Daniel Briere talking about the pick here. So we'll wait. Just a talent we couldn't say no to.
Yeah. Like that's the right attitude to have when you're approaching a rebuild. Like I am impressed with what he's been able to do in the kind of 2 years that he's been more in a position of power there, and
Yeah.
the way the Flyers are handling it. And again, you know what? Those 2 years could be really valuable for them because that could be the difference in Tortorella still being the coach or not.
Yes, absolutely. I can't imagine else still around. Michel's got to make the decision to come play there or not.
Like that could definitely be something that they're factoring into everything, or him
Yeah.
and his side would be. So yeah, I'm excited to go to Philadelphia whenever that coach isn't there.
Yeah. All right. So the Caps are going to make the pick. The pick is in. All right. So now at this point, for Kraken purposes, we're just kind of hoping that everyone forgets about Benson, right?
Yeah, basically. I don't know that that's entirely possible or probable, but that's certainly the hope.
Yeah. What would you do if you're Washington here?
Like I said, I would have considered trading down if there was an option.
Well,
If
yeah. I
there
mean,
with
if you're
no
going to make the
option,
pick, I don't think there's much interest, but
I don't know. With no option, I guess I'd really consider it. Like you need long-term help. You need help down the middle. Benson could be a guy here that you would consider.
yeah.
Ryan Leonard. So they're
And they
going
take
for the
Ryan Leonard.
nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
The
teams
next
will go
Matthew
for it.
Tkachuk.
Talk about putting unrealistic expectations on somebody. You're almost better off saying this is that Bedard is the next, Crosby or whatever. It's almost
Yeah.
easier to live up to than trying to be the next Kachuk. And your name isn't already Kachuk.
Yeah. It might actually be harder to do. You're right. Um, but no, I think this is a good pick. Like Leonard, I think was on a lot of boards or mocks and everything was the top available guy. Um, and looking at the Pronman's, where is it? Pronman's
Mhm.
final mock draft.
Yeah.
He was 6 for 7 out of the first 7 picks. The only one he missed was the Coyotes. He had them taking Leonard.
Yeah.
And then so he misses 8 because he had Washington taking Dvorsky. But like pretty spot on.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Day of draft, Corey Pronman mock drafts, just know that that's what the draft is, basically. Right?
Yeah.
Like I said, nobody's more dialed in than him. I debate his prospect ranking sometimes, but he is the most dialed in. He's the most on it when it comes to all the news and everything that comes out. I like DJ Singleton. There's no more obvious picks. We're officially in the unknown. I mean, we are, especially with Detroit, because Detroit is in a weird spot where they're like pseudo trying to still be competitive, but they need a lot of help. I could see Dvorsky coming anywhere in these next couple picks. I think he's probably the best guy left on the board now. If I had to guess,
Mm-hmm.
I think he would have been a good pick for the Capitals, to be perfectly honest, just
Yeah.
because,
Well, do you know
you need somebody long term.
who the all-knowing Pronman has Detroit taking at 9?
I mean, is it Zach Benson? Is it Pelika?
No, it's Matthew Wood.
Okay, well there you
And
go.
you know what? I don't think that would be a terrible pick.
It would not be a terrible pick. It would be a really good pick. Like, I don't want it to happen. I want him to magically somehow fall to the Kraken too.
Right.
Him and Benson would be the two.
Right.
But
Wood
yeah,
and Benson, I think, would be best case scenario if somehow one of those two could fall to the Kraken.
yeah,
Those are the like home run ones I'm rooting for still. But so many picks to go
yeah.
still.
If the Kraken trade up now, is it for Benson or Pelika from the Sandpipes? It would. I mean, it depends on how bad they want a defenseman, right? I think
It
Benson's the
does.
better player. I think they might even have Benson as the higher rated player. But if they really want a defenseman, Pelika is the last guy of that tier because Simashev went so early. So if you are a team and you want a defenseman, particularly if you want a puck moving defenseman, RJ, right?
Right.
And we
I'd
know
say the
that's
higher they trade up, the more likely it's for Pelika.
I would agree with that. And we know that the Ron Francis and the Kraken, they value puck moving defensemen, and we know that I think they do have questions long term about whether or not they already have that in the organization, right? As far as a top pairing puck moving defenseman.
Right.
And I think they like Riker Evans. I think there's concerns about whether or not he can be a top pairing guy. I think you like a Ty Nelson a lot, but you're probably realistically definitely not looking at a top pairing guy there.
Right.
Right. So Pelika could be a top pairing guy while bringing that special offensive ability to it. And I think that that's something that the Kraken don't have. I think it's something that Ron Francis and company value. That being said, we know his overall history when it comes to trading up, and it's not long.
No, it's one trade long, and definitely not in the first round. So I think they're probably going to stay. Certainly, with how things are shaking out, I feel like they'll stay put at 20.
Yes.
But yeah, I just think too. You think too much about your own prospect pool and what it's missing at your own peril. I think that's dangerous to do.
Mhm.
You got to just pick best player available. And I know everyone says it's the cliche, but like so few teams actually do it. Like I think the Coyotes were certainly thinking about, okay, what do we need in our prospect pool?
Right.
At 6 when they're making that pick.
Yeah. Now again, I would say that Pelika is the better overall pick over everybody but probably Dvorsky and Benson.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would just have him ranked that high anyway as a prospect. And I've talked about this. Like I'm obviously super, super high on him. I can't think of, or Wood. I would probably have Wood above him. So I'd have like 3 guys above him.
Okay.
So it wouldn't be crazy for me if they did trade up for him. If say Matthew Wood's off the board, Dvorsky's off the board, who should be going here anytime now, and Zach Benson are off the board. I would then be okay with it. But if one of them's
Yeah.
on the board, I think you got to take one of those 3 first.
Yeah, no, that's the key. I think, yeah, you it's okay if you think about what you need in the prospect pool. Just don't let it get in the way of picking a better player.
Right.
Which, that's the issue. So Dylan, I've been checking Twitter. We actually have a look at the Ducks, the new jersey that we're going to debut here. So I can put it up on the stream. You ready?
Yep.
There it is.
Oh, love it. Love it. Love it.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
Yep. So they get around the whole, the reason they couldn't use the Mighty Ducks logo as a main logo is still because it's technically owned by Disney, blah, 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 blah. There's a lot of legal loopholes there. So they get around that, but they can still bring back Wild Wing with the iconic mask. And they bring back, most importantly, the eggplant and jade, which is what I wanted all along.
Oh yes, the eggplant and jade. It just looks beautiful. Can't wait for that next season. That should be really fun. As the Red Wings go up to the stage to make their draft pick, and as we thought, it did take a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really good pieces on the board right now. And if you're Stevie Y, what do you do? Do you go center here with Dvorsky? Probably. That's what I would probably do.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, that's true. I mean, he's probably the best center on the board here.
Watch him go with Samuel Honzik instead.
Oh.
um
Nate Danielson.
Whoa. Holy cow.
I mean, I had seen him drafted in this, mocked in this range quite a bit recently.
Really?
Yeah,
I mean, I don't look
had
at
him at 10. The
Okay.
Athletics, Wheeler had him.
So then that's
there.
another one. That's another one where the interview process is coming into play, because he had, after the season ended, really fallen off, and then he's making this big thing. But here's the bottom line. I was just going to say, with Steve Yzerman, right? One of the most iconic leaders and captains in NHL history. This guy, the first thing I think of when I think of Nate Danielson is leadership, and him being captain at a very young age there with the Brandon Wheat Kings. It was a team that didn't live up to the potential, but he did. He was kind of the only guy too this year for that team that ended up struggling in a way a lot of people didn't think they would. And he kind of, had to be the leader through all that stuff. And he stayed trying to motivate that team really late into the season and everything. And it was very impressive to watch. So in that respect, I'm not surprised that Steve Yzerman would want him in his organization and this high, but I am maybe then surprised to hear that other people also had him this high.
Yeah, sounds like it's Matt Cantos saying NHL teams love Danielson. Bedard saying he was the hardest player to play against the Dub had to have helped. Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a pretty good endorsement there.
Right, because it's one of those, right? Leadership and compete level tend to go hand in hand, right? And he's got a big compete level. He's kind of a nasty guy to have to play against if you're an opposing center. It's just the offensive upside isn't there. Now, if you're Detroit and you just committed to Dylan Larkin, you don't necessarily need as much offensive upside. You're not looking for a number one center to be the offensive point driver that you need. So in that sense, you can open yourself up to a Nate Danielson, or you think, hey, we can teach him some more offense. And what matters is that kind of heart and soul and gritty style of play that he can bring.
Yep. People on Twitter saying that this is a bigger reach than Simashev. I don't know about that. It is a bit of a reach, but I mean, there's certainly attributes. I think one thing we're seeing in the draft this year is players that have a certain type that we know hockey people are going a little bit higher. Whether that's Simashev, whether that's Reinbacher going high, whether it's Danielson here. I think those attributes you're looking at. He's got that size, 6'2", 186, huh?
Yeah, but that's not new.
No, it's not new. It's definitely not.
This happens every year, right? There's always the Zach Benson.
What I'm saying is maybe we shouldn't be so surprised. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm a little surprised, because I would have personally, if I'm going for the center with size, one, I would probably go Dvorsky before Nate Danielson, and two, I'd probably also go with Honzik, right? Honzik just quietly 6'4", 185. Nobody seems to remember that, and I think he's got more offensive upside than Nate Danielson does. But again, he probably doesn't have the leadership qualities. He probably doesn't have the kind of nasty, tough to play against factors that Nate Danielson does. So, Stevie Y obviously values those things. That's what he was as a player. He had a lot of success that way. You look at some of the teams he's been a part of; they've had success with guys like that in the organization, right? Yanni Gord comes to mind. Tough guy to play against, good compete level, good leader. So
yeah. So David Pagnotta says Canucks and Sabres GMs Alvin and Adams having a discussion on the floor. So the Canucks are on the clock here at 11. And this is one of the really fun things about the draft too. You can see, okay, they're on the clock, but the GM is going and talking to the Buffalo Sabres GM. Might we have something here? Might we not? It really can come down to just a conversation at the last minute like this for a trade. So we'll keep an eye on that. Pick is not in yet for Vancouver.
I was gonna
So
say it's very much like we've seen this and heard about these stories too, RJ, right? Where two teams will have a conversation, especially because Buffalo's at what 13, I believe. So they would be moving up 2 spots. They would obviously be targeting one specific player. So we've seen and heard of conversations being had between teams, RJ, where if so and so is on the board, we go ahead and we make this deal. And so we'll see if St. Louis, takes whoever Buffalo wants to move up 2 spots for here or not.
right. Exactly.
Because I have a feeling that's probably what it is. Any deal between those two sides would be conditional on the player Buffalo wanting. But Buffalo must really want somebody if you're going to have this conversation and move up 2 spots, right? In a
Yeah,
draft
I mean,
class like this, you really want somebody.
yeah, there's got to be a specific player out there. I mean, thoughts. I mean, thoughts on who it is? Like, Dvorsky's still on the board. I'm trying to think who else.
Well, they don't really need a
Matthew
center,
Wood. I mean, they
right?
have a team full of giants already.
Well, I was just gonna say, but they don't need a center. Now Matthew Wood could definitely stay on the left side and he would be just fine there. Because I was thinking like Benson, but I don't know that Benson totally makes sense unless they think he's really a long-term winger. You're taking Matthew Savoy's, teammate, right? Like that
Mhm.
works, I guess, for you. I'm wondering if it's a defenseman.
Really though, when you've got Power, you've got Darlene, you've got. I mean, I don't know.
Exactly. You have a bunch of giant defensemen. You've got, a guy like Darlene who's a well-rounded guy. Owen Power can bring some offense, but if you're Buffalo, right, you understand the value in having defensemen as tradable assets later, right? You don't
Yeah,
have a good history of drafting forwards, right? Like the one
that's true.
slam dunk you made was, right? So I would consider drafting another defenseman and then know, hey, look, it's going to be a struggle to pay everybody anyway. If we have to move somebody out, we've got a Pelika in the pipeline. There's
Hmm.
somebody talking to the Senators, although he's part of this
Yeah.
group from St. Louis.
So it looks like St. Louis is going to the stage here, so they're going to make the
Mason
pick.
saying you do need a right shot D. And it would be Pelika. Or is he talking about
Yeah,
St. Louis here? Oh, St. Louis. Yeah, never mind.
yeah, yeah.
So
Right.
I still
Yeah,
think
so
they
they
should
have three
go.
first rounders here tonight
Yes,
at the moment.
I still think they should go Dvorsky and get a center of the future, knowing that, even if O'Reilly comes back, he's not the long-term play.
Yep, they take Dvorsky here.
Yeah, that's a really smart move from them.
Hmm.
I one of the few picks I had mocked. Look at that.
Hey, there you go. You got one. Oh, I'm
I
imagining
don't
you had
count
Bedard.
Bedard. I don't count
Okay.
Bedard because why would you, right?
Yeah. Good job. Good on you there. Dvorsky to St. Louis. I mean, I think what was the point I was going to make? Oh yeah, usually when you have teams, maybe I'm just thinking of like one specific example and I'm letting that color my opinion too much, but I feel like usually when you see teams have a lot of picks in the first round of a draft, I'm thinking like
Mhm.
3 or something, you see them tend to reach or go off the board and not kind of let that smart pick fall to them. And so I was
Mhm.
wondering if we might see a reach here, but turns out they don't. Maybe with one of the next two, they'll
Yeah,
go way off the board and pick someone they really like, but so far so good.
yeah, keep in mind their 2 other picks are, like, late 20s, so they're not, like, anytime
Yeah.
soon, so you did wanna make sure you at least walked away with somebody, and I also think you and I being there in 2015 to watch the Bruins absolutely bungle the 3 back-to-back-to-back picks will always cloud
Yeah,
our judgment in that situation.
probably. If you were there in the building for that day, though, it's gonna stick with you.
It will. But this one just makes sense. Like I said, you need a long-term solution at center if you're St. Louis. I just think that this is the way to go if you're St. Louis. It just is. He's such a fantastic player.
Yeah, no, a good pick for them.
Gosh, the
So now,
Slovakian like Olympic team in a couple years, RJ.
yeah, and good that he didn't go to Vancouver.
Yeah, exactly. So now we'll see if Vancouver does indeed trade down, if Buffalo wants to move up, or somebody else. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see what's going on there. I mean, Vancouver. Who would you be worried about them taking? Is
I
it
mean,
Zach
Zach
Benson?
Benson. Yeah,
That's the one. That's the name that comes to mind right away for me.
yeah, Zach Benson would be the worry for sure.
Yeah.
DJ Singleton, 20% shooting percentage for Dylan. Elite. I know. And hey, if you count the picks that were just like one off, which, really my mock drafts are less mock draft, more just here's my prospect rankings, but I need to make it a mock draft for YouTube views. Uh,
Yep.
I feel okay. I feel pretty good then. Right.
Oh no, you should. Oh, and Joe, by the way, it's just the first round today.
Mhm.
So second round will start tomorrow in the morning. So no stream for that one because it'll just be rapid
Yeah.
fire, and Dylan will be traveling up here. But
Yes.
I'll be up to cover it, of course.
Definitely. Um, we haven't seen like the graphic. Dylan is the goat. Yes. Thanks. And RJ too. That's right. The All right, so Vancouver is now officially on the clock. We'll see how long this kind of like ticks down as they just keep showing us Dvorsky highlights and talking about him. I mean, look, RJ, you look at Megan's best available, and I trust Megan a lot more than say like a Greg Button over on TSN's coverage of the draft, and she's got Pelika as the third highest person left on the board. Like
Yeah,
I don't think I'm alone just because that offense is so special.
yeah, no, it is, and you definitely talked me into liking him there. I just, again, it's from a philosophy standpoint. I don't know if he's that real number one guy, but or just given the style of play and everything. But I do think you're gonna have at least one team that's tempted. But just given some of the forwards you have on the board right now,
Yeah,
like
I
I
just
could
think
see teams easily talking themselves into a Benson or a Wood more than a Pelika.
yeah, I just think it's one of those things where it's like, that special defenseman, I agree. You always want to be on the lookout for them in a draft. But like I said, I think there's realistically only ever one per draft class. And if you're picking at 20, the cost to move up might still not even always be worth it to then
Yeah,
gamble on hoping you got the right one. So if you can then just take a, defenseman, could be on the top pairing, regardless of if he's the, 30 minutes a game in the playoffs guy, I think you probably go ahead and do it.
yeah.
Um,
Pronman has the Canucks taking Willander, so
See, like that,
I could see that.
I would rather Willander's the better overall guy, right? In the sense like his game is more well rounded, but I
Mhm.
would rather have Pelika because the offense is so special. So that then
Yep.
becomes the other like breakdown. Um, Megan's got Gulyayev as ninth best on the available, even ahead of
Hmm.
Wood. So there you go. I mean, look, let's be real. When we do talk about Matthew Wood, like if say he does fall to the Kraken, as Joshua's put in here, she has him as 10th best available. So he has 10 picks away. Wood needs a long runway. Like he's
Yeah.
not going to be playing in the next 2 seasons for the Kraken at all if he was to go to Seattle. He's 3 to 4 years away for sure. But when he comes, I think he'll have developed into something really special.
Yeah. No, he's exciting. I would be excited to see the Kraken draft him, certainly if he were to fall. Is that
Yeah. What?
was Haltonen the one that you were talking about in the second round for the second round?
Casper Holtonen? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. She's
If
got him
he
at 20 left on the board.
Yeah,
So
he's a borderline first round pick. Like I said, he was one of those. If the Kraken were to trade up in the second round, right, for like
mhm.
anybody that could fall out of the first round, he was in that group for
Yeah.
me. I think he's worth trading up for and taking a flyer on.
Yeah. Now, Dylan, what's the deal with Oliver Moore? Because I've saw him mocked in the top 10 a lot, second half of the top 10, but it seems like
Yep.
he's falling a little bit.
Well, as everybody killed me in the comment section of the
I
mock
know.
draft video for saying that he
Where'd
had
you put him?
nothing that was special. I had him at 8 to Washington just because I
Okay.
was like, they need long-term plays there, and he's long-term
Yeah.
play. I will admit he is known for skating. Okay, I didn't mention that in the mock draft, and everybody killed me for it. But the problem is he's only known for skating. There's nothing like he wasn't on that line for the U.S. development team, right? The way everybody else was. So obviously he should probably go behind those three.
The Canucks make the Canucks pick, and they pick Tom
Well,
Willander.
all right. So that one was talked about. I know you said Promman had him, right? I know the
Yeah,
Canucks
Pronman had him
people,
there.
I know the Canucks YouTubers all had him in the last couple days as well there.
They seem like a predictable organization.
They do. And so I do think that the people spending a lot of time around it probably know what's up. Look,
Mhm.
Tom Willander
I,
is a fantastic defenseman. I like him a lot as a prospect. I don't think he
is it a
should
reach
be.
at 11?
I think it's a reach at 11. I don't think he should have gone this high. I really don't. I said it in the mock draft because I had him at like 25 to the Sharks, and I said that was too low for him realistically, and he's one of my
Yeah.
prospects to watch. But again, he's like, he'll be like one of the best top 3 defensemen, like third defenseman on a team somewhere, and maybe
Mhm.
borderline top pairing guy. But I just don't think that he brings enough to the table in any one facet of the game to be elite enough to deserve to go this high in this draft class.
Yeah, it's certainly in this draft class. that's what you're getting. If you're getting like a potential top pair guy, low end top pair guy, really high end third defenseman at pick 11, you failed in this draft class, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I think it's too high for him. That's where, like, again, right? Like, I would rather take a Pelika who's special offensively and you can work around that rather than just someone who's really, really good. And he's really, really good. Like I said, he's not bad. This is a guaranteed top 10 pick guy. What, last year? I'm trying to remember last year's draft. Oh, definitely last year's draft class.
Oh, for
If I'm
sure,
remembering the
top 10 last year. Yeah,
Like last
last
year,
year was
like
weak.
this guy, yeah, this guy would be like, wow, why is he falling to 11 last year? But this year, yeah. I mean, I might like him more than Juracek. I know, I hate Juracek last year, but like I actually could see more of an NHL future for Willander than Juracek. So sue me.
Yeah. All right.
So what forward will fall to us, Superfly? I don't know. There's still a lot of picks.
I'm trying to make a list here. So Dylan, as far as who you want, what's your ranking here? Can you give me like a quick top 5 or 6 or something to see? Because I think Benson won, right?
Benson won, yes. Let's see. I like Wood, and I like, what was the other forward I said I liked
Moore?
over no, it wasn't Moore. Oh well, it was Dvorsky. I don't know. I might put Hanzik there, maybe. I don't know.
Okay. So I'm looking at the
I
top,
really
like on mock drafts
yeah.
here.
I really like I like Benson. I was just gonna say I like
yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I like Benson, I like Pelika, I like Wood, I like Perot.
Okay.
That would be the group that I would be hoping kind of falls to them. I think that's the
Okay.
list for me. I'm just not a Musty guy, guys. I know so many of you are. I'm just not a Quentin Musty guy. I don't know why. Crystal, look, Crystal could be the guy. I don't know. I don't know. I think I would rather than like a Samuel Honzig falls rather than a Crystal for me personally.
Would you rank Hanzik over Moore?
That one's tough. I think Moore is a better complementary piece, which might suit the Kraken long term better. Hanzik, it would be tough, right? You're drafting a third true center. Like at some point, what the heck
Don't worry
do you
about
do
that.
with all those guys?
Don't worry about that. Best player available, man.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, Moore just being good at everything has to come into play. I just love Hanzik's size and his ability to play down the middle, be that kind of Barkov style player. Like that's just I love watching that. I like it too much.
Yeah, the CR Butts says Dylan's best available, and yes, you caught me. I am trying to compile a Dylan's best available list like we have on the broadcast here, so maybe I can tweet it out in a few picks as we get close.
Yeah, my best available probably goes Benson.
Pelika?
I mean, it might be Pelika second. That's what I was just trying to figure out. Like, is anybody above him? Maybe Wood, then Pelika, but certainly those are the 3. And then I really like Perot and I really like Hanzik. Those would be then like the 5. That's my 5. I want, with the 9 picks left, I want one of those 5 guys to fall to the Kraken at 20.
Yep. So those are your 5, and there's a bit of a drop off after that.
Yeah, personally.
Okay.
Because then it turns into the guys where it's like, okay, they're really good at one thing, like the Quentin Musties or the Barlows or the Richies or the Crystal, where it's like, okay, yeah, these are still really good players and they'd be top half of a first round pick, but like I don't know that they're top 10 guys in other draft classes, and I don't know, that they're elite game breakers at the NHL level either.
All right, I'm compiling this tweet here then. Don't mind me sharing this with the world.
Now that we've seen how the draft is shaping up, would Arizona still have gotten Simashev here? No, they would not have. I don't think Simashev would have gotten past Vancouver. If Vancouver was willing to go Willander, they absolutely would have gone Simashev. So in that sense, Coyotes did the right thing. They got their guy. And look, Zach Benson is still there, right? Like you could still grab a Zach Benson. Like you haven't essentially lost that.
Oh, can you imagine if they do that at 12?
Does that count as a win for my mock if I had him at 6, but they grab him at 12?
I think it does. Well, here, Pronman had them taking Simashev at 12.
Okay. So there you go.
So I think
I would count that as a win for him.
Oh, they're about to make the pick here. Whoa. Going way off the board. Daniil Boot.
Okay, so they go with Simashev's teammate,
Yeah.
Locomotive. Wow.
Somebody watched a Yaroslavl game and was just absolutely blown away by two of these players.
That, and they
Who's their
said,
Russian
wow.
scout?
Well, hold on. Let's wait a second, right?
Yeah.
Last year, who was one of their picks? It was Connor Geeky, right? And they chose
Yeah.
him maybe even a little higher than a lot of people had him, but they liked his size. Both
Yeah.
Simashev and Boots, right? What are the two things they have in common? They're 6'5". I mean, it's possible Arizona just wants size in the organization. They know that all their skill guys are generally smaller, on the smaller side. They want some big bodies to go out there and play with them. They like Lawson Krause,
Yeah.
RJ. They've turned Lawson Krause into a thing. They like size.
I guess so. Wow. They have made Lawson Krause actually pretty good. So
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think Daniil Boot probably has a higher ceiling than Lawson Krause ever did.
Mhm.
I mean, like, you watch him play, like he is a really skilled player. At 6'5". He is all legs. Looking at him in this suit though, like, geez.
Yeah.
His
Yeah,
legs are
look at him,
probably as
man.
tall as we are, RJ. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, they went for their people. They went for their guys. But like, watch this. Like, watch him drive the net and stuff. Like, he's a
Yeah.
good finisher.
Yeah, no, I mean he's definitely got the potential to be like, dominant at times. Just watching this tape, like you can see it, right?
Yeah. Like, he's literally twice as tall as Gary Bettman.
Yeah, he's towering over the commish.
Look, is it still a reach? Yes, I'm still gonna say it's a reach. I'm absolutely going to say that it's a reach, but I maybe don't like completely hate it. Like, Arizona is swinging for the fences, and look, if you're Arizona and you have as many prospects already in the pipeline and you have as many future picks in future drafts, why not swing for the fences?
Yeah, why not? I
They're
mean,
the
yeah,
one
with
team
so
that
many pieces
literally
they have.
could afford to lose, right? They're the only team that could afford to lose, and so they went
Yeah,
ahead and went for it.
and it's not like, I mean, where's their next pick? It's not like he was going to be there at.
No, he wasn't gonna go to the second round.
Yeah, he's not going to make it to the second round. So you take your guy, and again, it seems like nobody wants to trade up or down. Like,
Yeah,
okay,
nobody's moving.
you think the Buffalo Sabres were trying to trade up for Daniil Boot?
Oh
Remember we were
man,
saying
no.
watch out because the Sabres were looking to trade up
Well, no.
potentially.
No, yeah, but I said, right? If they don't trade up, then that probably means St. Louis took their guy. I think they could have been
Oh,
wanting to
St.
trade up
Louis
for
got
Dvorsky
yeah. Well, if
because
they
they were
because
going to
they were
trade with
talking to
Vancouver.
Vancouver at 11.
Right, but St. Louis
Oh, I
hadn't
get
made
you.
their pick
Yeah.
yet, right? So,
No, I see the logic. You're right. Yep.
um,
So
Dubas
Boot
likes
is
to
the guy
move
they
back.
get as the main pick in the Chikrin trade.
Yes. Wow,
Interesting.
that return is going to go down as historically bad. Even if Boot like turns into something, even still, I don't know. But look, if
Yeah,
you're,
Boot, a conditional second and a 2026 second. There it is.
wow.
For Jacob Chikrin.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, I guess I could see it, right? If they've seen firsthand what having a special center is in Clayton Keller, and then not necessarily being able to help keep him healthy, right? You look at both these picks. Do
Yeah.
you think Arizona's like, okay, nobody's going to mess with Clayton Keller or Logan Cooley if we move Clayton Keller, if there's a guy like Daniil Boot hanging around on his wing?
Possibly. Does he have that edge to his game?
Oh, that's the one thing you can teach somebody, right? You can
Yeah,
teach
no,
a guy
that's
to
true.
go
You
out
could
there and
teach him
just
to
be
get a little nasty.
nasty.
Yeah,
Like,
he's got the
yeah,
size. Doesn't have to worry about it.
right.
Fair
Nobody's
enough.
gonna hurt him. So, I think that's something that they might be thinking about as well when they do it. Like, I don't know. It's one of those where it's shocking and surprising, but like I can rationalize it.
Yeah. No,
It's easier to
I get it.
rationalize that than Willander, I think, for me.
Fair enough. Oh man, everyone's saying he should have been a Montreal Canadian. It would be a great opportunity there with that last name.
Yes, it would have. Dubas loves to move back. Zach Benson, welcome to Seattle from Mason there. I mean, Dubas does. We'll see what they do. I still think Wood would be the perfect pick for Pittsburgh.
Who? Sorry.
Matthew Wood to Pittsburgh because
Oh
he needs a
yeah,
couple
I've seen
years.
him mocked there a lot.
Yeah, because he needs a couple years anyway. It just makes sense.
Yeah, Kronman has Oliver Moore going there.
Yeah, well, it could be too. I mean, he's a great all-around player. He's somebody that could magically slot in very early in
Yeah.
Pittsburgh potentially.
So I
Stratic, if these guys
go
look huge now,
ahead.
imagine how huge they'll look playing at mullet. That's what they were
I
really
don't think
doing,
it
RJ.
fits that timeline, but man, that'd be funny.
Yep.
So Dylan, I tweeted your best available list, and we have a comment here on it. How is Oliver Moore not on this list? Care to give a quick reply?
What is Oliver Moore good at besides skating? That's what I would reply.
There we go.
Oh gosh,
All
you're gonna
right.
actually send that. Okay.
I asked you, what should I reply?
Let's see.
It's all right. I don't want to rush you into a diplomatic answer. It's
Yeah,
fine. I don't have
that's
to say
true.
anything.
That's what I say to YouTube. Like, it's, what is he good at then? Tell me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's a really solid all-around
Well, it's
player.
from
That's what I've
Michael,
been saying
actually,
all
who
along.
is probably watching. He was in chat
Oh, yeah.
earlier. So,
Yeah. Oliver Moore is still there, right there.
oh, there he is. Okay. Yeah. So Michael
There
is
you go,
here.
Michael.
Yeah,
There's
all
your
right.
answer.
So there, I don't need to
Good
reply to you
ad.
on Twitter. We've said our reply right now. Thank you for the Twitter engagement, though, Michael.
Yeah. That, and it's one of those, like, I just feel like somebody along the line here is going to take Oliver Moore. I don't know. I think if he wasn't even on that top line for that
No.
USHL team, they go with Zach Benson.
Zach Benson.
Wow. All right. So they're viewing him as a winger then. Look at the mullet on Benson. Look at that. That's
Darn.
a player. So Buffalo is just collecting now Nichi Wild players. That's what they're doing.
Dang. All right.
So
come on. He wasn't falling to 20. I
say,
need to get over this.
So now the list is down to, oh, how diplomatic of him just to go with the draft logo.
The draft logo
liner to his
on
suit.
the jacket lining.
That's kind of
Is he
ridiculous. I
falling
don't
in your
like
rankings
that.
there, knowing that?
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I don't like that. Although I like that he was wearing like a Winnipeg Ice colored suit. Like, I'll give him that for the team that he's playing for. But yeah, I don't know.
That'd be funny if we just like curse it and your top 5 just goes the next 5 picks goes like Benson, Wood, Pelika, Perot, Hanzik.
But see, like, it could. Look at the teams picking, RJ.
I'm looking at the board. It could. It very well could.
Wood makes sense for Pittsburgh completely. Pelika makes sense for Nashville. He's a natural Roman Josi replacement. You can start grooming, right? Like, he totally fits what Nashville has historically done. Who picks after that? Like, oh my gosh.
Wait, so here after Nashville?
Calgary. I had picking Hanzik, and I know other people like Sam Constantino had them picking Hanzik, so they could absolutely pick him because they need a center of the future, and why not go for the 6'4" guy? Oh my gosh. And then Perot.
And then Detroit, Stevie Y could take anyone good.
Right. And which I had them taking Gabe Perot because he just makes sense for them too, right? The USA guy, the production. Oh my gosh, it absolutely could happen. Oh no. Oh!
Superfly, wow, it's all because of Dylan.
It's because you made me
DJ
give a
Singleton
top
of
5.
Seattle traded up. Huh?
You made me give a top 5. That's I'll accept no responsibility.
Nobody was blaming me. Don't try.
I mean, look, Oliver Moore is still there. Oliver
here.
Moore, best player on the board. Absolutely. Oliver Moore, incredible.
Yeah, you could have put anyone in that top 5.
I love Oliver Moore. I've loved him since day one. You all know this.
Just look at that skating.
My gosh, those are absolutely like based on who's left, the players I would mock to those upcoming teams. That's ridiculous.
Lindsay, Dylan ruins everything. Welcome to the chat, Lindsay.
Yeah,
love you kicking it off with that. Perfect.
That's how you know somebody's been around for any amount of time in the ECH community.
Knowing that Dylan ruins everything. So DJ Singleton, if Seattle traded up, who would you want? I mean, we got Dylan's top 5 list, so it'd have to be Wood or Sandy Pelika, right? If you're
Yeah. I don't know that I'd trade up for Perot or Hanzik, even though I really like them. I mean, maybe if it's like one of them falls to say 18 and it doesn't cost you too much to move up 2 spots. Yeah, I like them more than like the next group, but I wouldn't say move up to now at 14 for one of them.
Yeah. Okay, so we found out what's on the back of Fantilli's vest. It was text. So it takes a village, Fantilli's vest with a nod to everyone who helped them along the way. And it's a very long list.
Yeah.
We got God at the top. We got Mama, Dad, Luca, and then a bunch of names going down there, and at the bottom it says it takes a village.
So I thought that while looking at it, it looked like names. It wasn't like sentences. It
Yeah,
looked like names, and I was wondering if that was like teammates or people that had, helped get him there. That's really, really cool. I like that.
yeah, that's a really cool idea.
Yeah. I know. They are monitoring us, CR, bud. They make all their decisions based on what we're doing. Kyle Dubas right now is watching. Hi, Kyle.
Hi, Kyle.
Before they make the pick. You love Oliver Moore, Kyle. Just remember that.
Hey, he's been watching the whole time. He knows you're just trying to deceive him now.
Edward Chalet. Imagine all the people with the Pittsburgh accents saying Chalet. It's gonna be awesome.
Well,
Kyle.
I kind of want Shelley to be around maybe for the Kraken if these other guys are. Let's cool it. So
Let's see. Can we read out who's gone to what team?
yeah, I can do
Yeah,
this.
you can do a
All
quick
right.
recap. Yeah.
We got Chicago takes Connor Bedard, Anaheim takes Leo Carlson, Columbus takes Adam Fantilli, San Jose takes Will Smith, Montreal takes David Reinbacher. Arizona takes Dmitry Sivashev, Philly takes Matvey Michkov, Washington takes Ryan Leonard, Detroit takes Nate Danielson, St. Louis takes Dalibor Dvorsky, Vancouver takes Tom Willander, Arizona takes Daniil Boot, and Buffalo takes Zach Benson. So the Pittsburgh Penguins on the clock now. I can't hear you. Are you muted?
Oh, yep. I had muted for while I was drinking. Is Radbonk's son still available? Yes, he is, Alex.
Yep.
Let's see. I was just gonna say, on Megan's board, even she's got Oliver Moore behind Perot and Pelika right now. So,
There you go.
Oliver Moore really falling out of favor. So there he is.
So pick is in for Kyle Dubas and the Pittsburgh Penguins.
I know. Time for the Pens. Darren's in chat, ready for it. Let's see who they go with.
Braden Yeager.
Wow. All right. Swinging for it. So I had him going to Nashville around now. I had a feeling somebody was going to go ahead and take a flyer on Yeager and believe in the upside and believe in the coachability of him. We talked about it with Nate Danielson, like just a tough center to play against and all of that. I think Yeager fits that bill, maybe without the same leadership that Danielson already has in his career. But Yeager is one of those guys that I feel like he's already got a really solid compete level. He's really good back checking through the neutral zone, which isn't something you generally see for guys this age. And I really like that about him. I just felt like he needs to work on his offense. He needs to be coached up offensively. Pittsburgh probably can find somebody who can do that for him, right? So I think this is a good pick. I thought if you went somewhere that could really like help him learn to be better offensively and accelerate that aspect of his game. Boy, though, after watching some of those giant guys standing next to Bettman, that isn't inspiring.
No.
Looking at that picture right there.
If Bettman doesn't make him look big.
Yeah, but if somebody was able to help him unlock his offensive skills, then he was going to be a good pick and he was going to be worthy of going in the top 15. Yeah. And yeah, this does kind of make sense for Pittsburgh.
Dubas is taller than I thought. Sorry, random thought there, but he's one of the taller guys up on the stage there.
Yeah, I am. It says he was what 5'11", but next to Bettman there, they gave him the generous roundup that they gave Bedard, I think.
Yeah, I'd say so. But Kyle Dubas doesn't care. He's happy with the draft pick there.
Yeah.
And sorry, no Yeager and Jagger Firkus reunion in Seattle.
Yeah, that would have been fun. That would have been really fun, actually. But you know what, though? This increases the chances of one of those other guys getting there.
It does. It really does. As I'm looking at the list here, that was pick 14.
Yep.
All right. So, yeah, there's 1, 2, 3,
there's
4, 6, 5 picks before the Kraken. So 5 more players to go off the board.
There's 4 people I like and Oliver Moore.
Yep. So, I mean, it's looking good. I think that.
Yeah,
it would Pelika and Hanzik are on the board.
Right. This in my mind puts the Kraken in the spot where it's like, yeah, you don't need to trade up.
No,
just wait and take whoever's
let
still
it come
there
to you.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, you only need 2 players that aren't, those 4 to be taken, and Oliver Moore very well could be one, you
Yep.
know, just more and then one more kind of reach pick, and you have one of those 4 fall to you.
Yeah, exactly. So, and we'll see, right? I mean, there's going to be some teams in here, right? As much as I like, a Hanzik to a Calgary Flames, could they also go with a Quentin Musty, right? Just because they're like, hey, we like forechecking, come and forecheck here, right? Like I
Yeah.
could also see them do
Coming
something
for
like
check
that.
here. I like that.
Yeah, I could see
Uh,
something like that. I could see, a Chicago maybe not wanting one of those guys and wanting somebody a little different based on who they've already done. Or maybe if Pelika's already off the board, I could see Chicago maybe reaching for a defenseman, a Gulyayev or a Bonk, right?
yeah, I could see that
Just
too.
because. So
I wouldn't want him
there's
to, but
stuff
I could
there.
see it.
You don't want Chicago to do that?
Oh, Chicago reaching. Never mind. Never mind.
Yeah, like that's
Yeah,
that's
no,
our
I see
dream
what yeah, I
scenario,
see what you mean.
RJ.
Never mind. Never mind. I was getting the strategy wrong. Ignore that.
Yeah. Um, Mason, odds Musty falls to the second pick for Seattle now. I mean, do you mean
N
20th or actually the Kraken's second pick of the second round, like a second pick, like their second round pick? Because there's no way he falls out of the
that
first
doesn't
round.
no, he doesn't fall that far.
Yeah. And yes,
Um,
Bettman is now a unit of measure.
very cool. All right. So Colby Barlow's still on the board, right? He's someone else who
Yes.
could go in this
Yep.
range.
Yep. Yeah,
All
he could
right.
go any pick now. Um,
I still have
there's a
10
lot
of
of
my 14 that I made graphics for that are on the board. So,
yeah. I like Otto
uh,
Stenberg, but maybe not as much as those other guys.
yeah.
I'm just not as high on Musty or Callum Ritchie. They're just, I don't know, just not my guys.
Yeah. And,
And
and as Superfly's point, it doesn't seem like anyone's trading their pick anyways. Like,
yeah,
uh, no move. There's never any movement in these draft picks. It feels like
hmm
no one trades up or down. Everyone talks about it all the time every year before the draft. And if you look at the history, like teams just don't trade up or down in the first round, especially at the top of the first round. It just doesn't happen
right.
unless it's like a pick for a player.
Chicago has a ton of
Red's coming
defensemen.
up here now. Very popular in this building.
I mean, Chicago has a lot of defensemen, but none of them are like truly elite prospects outside of Korchinski. So I don't know that would scare them away from taking a defender.
Yeah, that's nice seeing Poyle and
Superfly.
Trotz coming up there together, as
Yeah.
Basin pointing out.
Oh, yeah. No, that's definitely what's going to happen, Cameron.
I like that on the broadcast. Like, I like to see Poyle come up there and say, before I make the pick, I'd like to honor myself because
Yes.
everyone else has been congratulating him.
And whose pick is this, you think? Do you think this is his last pick, or you think it's the first pick of Trotz? I mean, Poyle was
Good.
GM through most of the year, so he would have been in charge of scouting and all that kind of stuff. So
Right.
I don't know that this
Matthew
would be.
Wood is the pick. All right. Who do you think did that? I think they could just agree on a consensus at this point. It wouldn't
Yeah.
surprise me if he was like on there because you make a list for like the top
Yes.
20 or so. Wouldn't surprise me if he was a few spots higher on their list than like anybody else still available.
Yeah, I could see that too. Oh, that one stings. That one
It
stings.
does. Top guy on Dylan's list off
Yep.
the board here.
Yep.
See, if the Kraken had just missed the playoffs, they'd be in position to draft him and we'd all be happier, right?
Yeah, yeah, oh yes. We would all take that trade completely. Ugh. This is
All
the
right.
worst part too, because it's like we're just waiting and watching guys go off the board.
I know. I
Like it's
know.
lost the intrigue of where might this person go? How far will Michkov fall? Right? All that stuff's gone. Now it's just like, oh no, everybody's gonna be gone before 20.
It does feel that way. This is a feeling I remember from fantasy football drafts, so many of them, where it's like,
Yeah,
yeah, there's 4 picks until my pick, and there's like 3 guys I'd be happy with, and the guys in front, the teams in front of you are probably going to take them.
yeah, exactly. Hidden talent, brain games, and puzzles.
Hmm.
I mean, that
Interesting.
doesn't surprise me with him at all.
No,
And like,
I and pick them up on waivers in a few years.
yes,
That's
exactly.
good. That's good.
Oh, very good. I agree with you, Mason. If Trust didn't want somebody, he probably had final say. Agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, look, Pronman did have Pelika falling and said that, Seattle is his floor.
Interesting.
So that does mean like the idea was being floated around of Pelika falling.
Yeah.
And that was something Pronman said even a week ago. So
Yeah, that's true.
That must have been very certain information.
Yeah. Something interesting NHL to Seattle points out, or John Barr, like through 15 picks, no QMJHL or OHL players selected yet. That feels rare.
It feels rare, but like look at those two leagues these last two years.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not surprising, I guess,
I'm
knowing
not
who the guys are on the
all.
board, but just like, what's the latest the first OHL player has been picked in a draft in the last 30 years?
Yeah, that's we might have already passed it, to be perfectly honest. Josh was all in on Pelika. I mean,
I am too.
I still like Perreault. I think Gabe Perreault would be just fine. And I think Hanzik would be okay.
How about Oliver Moore if they're gone?
You know what? Look, he's a good piece,
At
and
20?
I think he'd probably work well with Matty, right? Like a similar motor and stuff. He's like really good all around piece.
I'll tell you, Dylan, it's going to be him because I did not make a graphic for him.
Probably, yeah. Cameron, who's at 19? Chicago is at 19. So that's who's picking one spot in front of us. So that's where we have to hope, because they already have Bedard. They go ahead and they choose something a little wacky.
Yeah, they go off the board or something.
Go for a home run, kind of pick, just because you can afford to.
Pick one of Bedard's teammates of, all those players he was playing with in Regina.
DJ Singleton, a Q player, might not get picked in the first round. I only had one of them as like a first round grade. As far as I'm concerned, a Q player never needs to be in the first round again. Continue waging my war against the Q.
Oh man.
I'm just saying, learn how to play hockey a little slower, guys. That's all you got to do. Stop greasing up the puck so that it flies around too fast to track my old eyes.
Oliver Moore's a center, right?
Yeah. He centered that second line for that U18
so it doesn't happen.
Okay. I'd love Bonk just for all the jokes from Forsland and Edzo and Kalen. That's not a bad reason to go ahead and go for it.
Oh, for sure. And the Bonk puns from Allison too.
Yes, they would all be very good, very solid. Calgary wasted no time getting their pick in.
All right, they like somebody.
They've had their pick is in for a very long time. They're just being held up by the broadcast. So that's interesting. Mason, final thoughts on Crystal. I know a month ago on the podcast, that's the pick you two wanted. Yeah, I mean, he's somebody that was certainly on the radar. I love the production. I think over time, as I watched more, I would rather like Gabe Perreault if you're going with a smaller skill winger. I would think I'd rather go with a Perreault than with Crystal. But like, I'm not concerned about Crystal the way a lot of other people are with, like, say, his skating. Skating doesn't bother me. I think he skates well enough that he'll be able to still be efficient at the NHL level. I think that there's a little bit, the other thing that's scaring me a little bit about Crystal is that he looks like a better player with the puck than without. And I just think, kind of like I talked about on this last podcast, RJ, you're playing 85 to 90% of the game without the puck. You need to be a good player without the puck to play in the NHL. And I think that's the thing that's kind of scaring me a little bit about Crystal, but I don't see why you couldn't learn, right? Like somebody that smart and that skilled, there's no reason you can't kind of coach him to find those spots and be a little better away from the puck.
Yeah, I think it's certainly teachable, but yeah, I do get a lot more excited about him when he does have the puck and I'm watching videos of him.
Yeah. Can't wait for a commercial right when Seattle's about to pick. Oh, it's coming.
Oh yeah.
And Gino Miaukin, Harley was the first OHLer picked in the 2019 draft, and he went 18th. So we're getting there.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Oh, Craig Conroy up on the stage.
I was just going to say, spoke a long time, but no pick.
Wants to thank the season ticket holders.
You're sticking with us. Thank you. Where's Jonathan Huberdeau? Why isn't he making the pick?
Oh, Hanzik.
Okay, so that's another one. It just felt natural, right? You're starting
Yeah.
you're starting a new chapter to your organization. You generally want to do that with a center. Why not go for the 6'4" guy who got stronger and stronger his first year in North America playing in the WHL? He obviously wanted to come over, play in Western Canada and all that kind of stuff. He played in a big market in Vancouver too and handled that well. I mean, I had him mocked to Calgary. Like this just it felt like one of those things that was supposed to happen. So good on the Flames. This, it's going to suck for the Kraken, but it's going to be a while before it sucks for the Kraken. This is just the start for them. They're still 3, 4, 5 years out.
Yeah, don't have to worry about the Flames for a while, I think. But yeah, solid pick for them. Good start to Conroy's drafting his time as a GM here. Yeah, just looking at that size, like with the skill, it's a rare combination and one that GMs covet a lot.
Right, and you look at where all this stuff is happening, right? Like I said, I gave him kind of like a Barkov light as like a comp. I think that's a really valuable style player, and that's a style of game that definitely translates and will play at the NHL level. And that's why I was
Yeah,
excited, even for the Kraken to take him. Yeah, you've already got a bunch of centers, but who cares?
yeah, exactly. And Bettman looks small, so that's good.
That's
Checks
all that
out.
matters.
uh, Stu with the Go Flames go.
Yep. Yes, and yes, I'm still ruining everything, Mason.
I know. I mean, really, it's Pelika and Perot, and then a drop off, I think.
Yeah.
Although I think just both of those two will be taken, and it'll be musty, and we'll have to be okay with that.
Yeah. Ugh. Mason, any chance Gulyayev goes to Seattle? Analytics really like him. The analytics do really like him. And look, he passes the eye test for me in the sense that he's going to be a top 4 defenseman in the NHL. Like, I don't really see any bust potential with Mikhail Gulyayev at all. I just think that, generally I was thinking that one of the other kind of higher upside forwards was going to be there. Now, if you're looking and the difference is, would you rather draft the guaranteed top 4 defenseman, RJ, or the guaranteed middle 6 forward? Do you really lean one way or the other there? Because that's kind of where we're getting
At that point, I
at.
don't know.
Yeah. See, and that's where I think we're getting at. I think Perot is the last of the guys that I could see turn into a top line forward. And I think Pelika is the last of the defensemen that I think could be a top pairing guy. And so after that, I kind of have everybody as you're either a middle 6 forward or you're a second pairing defenseman. In which case, yeah, if the Kraken really want a defenseman, go defenseman. I got no problems with it.
Yeah, no, I'd be okay with it at that range. At that point, you just got to go with who you like. I'm trying to see where like Gulyayev has been mocked various places. Like it's usually kind of end of the first round type of thing.
Yeah.
But I did not make a graphic for him, so a real good chance on
Another
this
thing
one.
in his favor. Yeah. How do we feel about Colby Barlow? I love Colby Barlow's ability to score goals. I think he's really, really talented and really, really skilled at scoring goals. I don't think there's a lot more to his game than that. Now, I would have him above, say, a Musty, a Crystal, a Callum Ritchie, because hey, if you're going to be good at kind of one thing, it might as well be scoring. I think that's probably the most valuable thing you could be a one-trick pony with. So in that sense, I would not mind if they went ahead and went with Colby Barlow if Perot and Pelika were off the board. I don't have a problem with that. Just the same way I don't have a problem with Gulyayev. Those, in fact, might be my next 2 guys, really, realistically. On Oliver Moore, I guess I have to include him. But there's obviously a reason Oliver Moore is falling this far. It's that he's just there's nothing exciting about him. Sorry. Barlow hasn't
I think
been
you are
drafted
looking
yet.
more and more right the more that he falls. Yeah, it's just nothing is standing out to people. With all these players that are taken instead, you usually see some kind of attribute that teams can get excited about.
Right.
We saw that with Hanzik just now, with that size and skill combination, willingness to go to the net. You see it with, obviously like Benson earlier and, Braden Yeager, being a natural center with that kind of skill, Matthew Wood with that size and skill. There's things that are jumping off the page at teams that you just don't have with more.
Right. Exactly. So, yeah, if Pelika and Perot are off the board, I would say certainly defensively, I would go Gulyayev over anybody else, and then I would if it comes to the defenders. And then, yeah, Barlow might be the guy. I like Edward Chalet. I like Otto Stenberg. I think Stenberg is really valuable in the sense that he could play basically all 3 forward positions. I think that's always useful, especially as a middle 6 guy. You could just kind of slide around your lineup and know he's going to, just be a smart hockey player, kind of do whatever you need. I think that's valuable. But yeah, we're running out of the guys that I think could be, super legit contributors rather than the secondary ancillary guys.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with that assessment. Also, just want to point out how cool it is. We got over 140 here in chat as we approach the Kraken pick. It's been kind of building and building to this as the excitement mounts. But thank you to everyone who's there watching, everyone in chat. Love that we get to enjoy this and watch the draft with all of you.
Definitely. And hey, look, this should be the last commercial break before the Kraken pick too. So this next segment
before the commercial break that happens while the Kraken pick.
Oh. Don't say it, RJ. Have we learned nothing from this stream already? Talking about all these great players we hope will fall, only to watch them then get picked one after the other. Kind of hoping for more just to see the reaction.
I know, that'd be pretty funny. Make it a little awkward at dev camp in just a few days when we get to talk to him and meet him.
Yeah. Wow. So what are you good at, Oliver?
I dare you to ask. You can reword it if you want, but just ask him something to that effect. What do you think is your best at?
Yeah. And then, in the awkward silence that follows, I'll just say, off the ice.
Yeah, there. What are you good at?
Oh no. Oh man. Yeah, see, we definitely got people popping in for the Kraken pick.
Oh yeah.
An ice race between Dylan and Moore. Moore could do 2 laps in the time, and I could do 1. No question.
Oh, only 2?
Yes, I think only 2. He'd be laughing too hard to do any more.
I'd take the over at 2.5.
Wow. Thanks, RJ. Why? Just because I haven't skated in 4.5 years? Does that have something to do with it?
All right, I'd take the over at 3.5 now that you mentioned that.
It's probably appropriate. I think you're forgetting, if I can cross over going left, I think I'm okay.
Yeah.
If I have to be going right, if I got to go like clockwise around the rink, yeah, no, it's going to be like 7 laps you can do.
I was say, you take into account the time you're getting up from the corner there.
Oh man. Dylan Moore definitely plays in the USHL somewhere. For sure. There's gotta be. Dylan Moore plays for the Mariners. So good.
We got more picks. Is it? Feels like they're throwing a bunch more commercial breaks in here now.
Yeah. The consensus ranking on Oliver Moore. So this is consensus of all the online places, and like Bob McKenzie, Greg Button was 9th. He was the 9th consensus ranked prospect this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like something happened. Like I know there was a rumor. There was somebody talked about on 32 Thoughts about a player who was like barking at teammates out on the ice and stuff, and then boasted about being a good leader.
Sorry, say that again. That last bit.
That there was someone on 32 Thoughts that they were saying, the people they brought on that cover the draft and stuff, that talked about a player who they thought could fall and stuff because they were someone who went out there and would just kind of scream at teammates all over the place and then boasted about having good leadership skills. I think that was Oliver Moore. I don't know.
Maybe. Well, if it was, we know the Kraken aren't taking him.
Yeah.
So I saw that they mentioned the word trade on the broadcast, and so I was investigating to see what they were talking about. But the pick is in, so
I am a NASCAR skater, Superfly, because I am a NASCAR fan. I've been open about that. Okay, look at this.
Oh wait,
no, that's the original.
No, this is trade. Yeah, that's the original, the Ronick one. Yeah,
that's why this pick is happening now.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah. That's probably why they were talking trade. I have the volume kind of low so I could hear the stream first. Also, Jim Nill wins GM of the year.
Cool.
The pun they just said Jim of the year. Oh, Ron Francis ties for 4th in GM of the year. Here we go. I gotta tweet this.
Yeah, go for it. Understandable to take a swing at 20 though, right? Yes, Will. If I would be totally fine with that, given the way
Who votes on
everything's kind
that?
of falling.
Is that broadcasters? Who votes on that?
Yeah, it is broadcast media, right? Super chat here from Light. I see that the Kraken did not expansion draft NHL favoritism their way to Bedard, so surely Ron will be fired within the day. Oh my gosh, it's entirely possible. Um, but thank you for the super chat, Light. I do appreciate that
Yes,
a
thank
lot.
you.
As we wait for Stevie Y to make his second pick announcement of the day, he's talking with Gary Bettman. It's an odd thing to do, I feel like, in this situation.
Yeah. Who should I pick, Gary?
Yeah. All right.
All
Try
right.
to lip
So
read.
Francis got 3 first place votes as GM of the year.
Oh, good.
Yeah, finished 5th place.
There they go. Okay, so there goes Pelika.
Yep.
All right. Now again, I had him mocked to them at pick 9. Does that count?
Yeah, I think it does. It's you know, like Pronman's had a couple of these too. I think that counts.
I think you match player to organization.
If you get the team right, you get like 3/4 of a point.
Yeah, and yes, I'm only bringing this up to try to escape everybody blaming me in the chat because Pelika's now off the board and the Kraken don't get him. I know,
Yeah.
okay? It is awful. I'm with you, Danny. We live in darkness now.
Dylan, this is good.
Oh,
do you know how much I was looking forward to the stream, Dylan, all day, so we could all just at some point blame you for it all going wrong.
Yeah, for this reason. And everybody, just shut your eyes. Don't watch any of these highlight reel goals that they're showing. We don't need to see that. It's too painful.
Yeah. On the podcast, I did ask you just who would you be most excited to see at Dev Camp in a few days that they could pick at 20. This was your answer. So
this was my answer. It was Pelika. Yes, it was. Ugh.
All right, Dylan.
Yeah.
I know I already asked you here. At this point, it's been cursed. So I asked you for the top 5 earlier.
Yeah.
There's what the Kraken have. So it's 2 picks now before the Kraken. Give me a top 3. Just a top 3. So Perreault's number 1, right?
Perreault's number 1. I'll go ahead and I'll throw Barlow in there. He might be 3rd. Let me see. Perreault. I don't know. I mean, like, I'm seriously like, now I'm like, should I have Oliver Moore in there? And not just like to try to jinx anything, but seriously, like he is good. Like he's not a bad player at all. Yeah, it might be Moore and then Barlow. It might go Perreault, Moore, Barlow.
Perreault, Moore, Barlow.
Yeah, as I think about it as a 3. And then maybe Gulyayev.
No Crystal.
No, I don't think Crystal. Don't think
no Musty, certainly.
No Musty, no Richie, none of those guys. I think I would have Barlow ahead of those guys. And if you want somebody who's a one-trick pony for assists, Riley Heights there. 72 assists in 68 games. That's
impressive. That is actually really impressive.
Ugh. Stop showing highlights. Now they're even showing defensive highlights. What are you doing? You know what? I would be super in favor of everybody because like everybody's, liked a lot of a lot of you guys have talked about liking Musty. The thing that I would say about Quentin Musty is he has a similar style of game to a Ty Cartier, and we know what that did for the Kraken and how much the Kraken kind of missed that and how valuable that was around the Kraken's other players. Right? Like, so that would be a reason to consider taking Musty. And you know what? If Musty was a European prospect that you could immediately send to the Firebirds and let the Firebirds develop him the way they did Ty Cartier, I'd be all about it.
Yeah,
but he plays in the OHL where defense is a thing of yesteryear, and that's why it's hard to judge all these OHL guys, and I think that's partly why they haven't been taken.
Yeah, it's true. We still don't have one yet, do we?
No. This would be it. If Winnipeg doesn't take one here, then it goes to pick 19, which is at least further back than in 2019.
Yeah. Well, now it's not such a good thing. The Kraken have all these good OHL scouts, and they love drafting guys from the OHL. Well, hey, see, Kraken, you might have you can have anybody from the OHL that you
You have
want.
the
That's
pick
draft
of the
eligible.
litter. Let's go.
If you had told him that at the start of the season, I feel like he'd be more excited.
Yeah. How about one of those Swedish centers, Edstrom or Wahlberg? I would rather have Stenberg personally. I just think
Yeah.
I think he's a smart all-around player. Again, if you're looking at somebody who's going to be a middle six player for you at this point anyway, you might as well go with the one that's the most versatile, the most like, kind of Morgan Geeky like, right? Where it can be like, say, a third line center or a second line winger. I think that's
Yeah.
not a bad type of guy to pick and have in the organization. I think those are valuable trade assets as well, if not just also there for, as injuries occur and whatnot, you can fill that role. I think Stenberg is definitely up there.
Now, Dylan, Allison has just tweeted, I've decided that we as media are not appropriately covering the hidden talent tidbits showing up for each draft pick. Where are they? I haven't noticed. Like maybe I
They've been
haven't been
on the
looking at.
screen.
Okay.
Yeah, they're on the
Okay.
big draft board behind them. So
Okay.
like Matthew Wood had that one, but one of them was just hidden talent and it said loves dogs. That was one of the top couple guys. Like, who went fourth? It was Will Smith, I think. It was just his hidden talent is that he loves dogs. And I was like, well, that's, I guess,
Only
something.
the Sharks would see hidden talent loves dogs and be like, yeah, we're gonna pick that guy.
Yep. So yeah. But that has been on the board as they, as the player walks up and goes to stand next to Gary Bettman. We've been able to see the hidden talents there.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Winnipeg, who you got?
This one's really interesting. I mean,
Winnipeg,
Winnipeg,
the memes.
They're just starting the teardown, right? So like they can kind of go anywhere. This is where
Yeah,
Oliver Moore makes sense, maybe.
I like Joe. My hidden talent is I love the Kraken.
Yes. I was gonna say, what would be your draft hidden talent, RJ?
I don't know. I don't even have like talents that aren't hidden. I pick a hidden one.
Well, mine can't be. I love dogs because that's not hidden. It's not hidden enough.
It's not hidden or a talent, really.
No, it's not.
No. You get Colby Barlow.
Okay.
There goes number 3 on your list. So you got,
all right,
with one pick now in between, you got Perreault or Moore.
Perreault and Moore. Let's go.
What you're telling me is that you just love this national team development program and you're all in.
Yeah, I mean,
want to see someone from them.
Yeah, I think it's done a great job developing people for a very, very long time now.
Yeah.
It's got a good track record. And look, Oliver Moore, more so than probably anybody in this draft class, is victim to the whole, like, if, everybody's kind of screwed being born in the same year, right? Like, he was especially screwed being a center in a year in which Will Smith was also there. Right. So he had to be stuck on the second line any other year. And Oliver Moore is the first line center playing on that thing. And you know what? If Moore is playing with Perreault and Ryan Leonard, Moore is arguably a top 5 pick. So
yeah,
I think that's just the way it goes sometimes is some guys just fall because, the production wasn't there. It's like, yeah, but why wasn't the production there? He got really messed up by the fact that there's just so many talented guys in this draft class.
Yeah, I think you can make that argument, certainly. Now, one player I want to ask you about that I didn't really get the chance to ask you about, like in terms of this list, is Edward Chalet. I know you've talked about before, you like him. Would you consider him at this juncture? I mean, where does he kind of fit in that list of players we talked about?
I would consider Chalet here as well. I think he's another one that's kind of a versatile kind of guy, and he plays a very mature style game. And I like that. I think that's valuable. I like the fact that he's playing against men. It is in the league in Czechia. There's not a lot of guys that have been in this situation as a draft eligible player playing in the men's league in Czechia. So I don't totally know how to, determine like how much of his production, only 14 points in 43 games. I don't know how they do things there the way I do for like Liga in Finland or the SHL in Sweden or the KHL in Russia. But I like the fact that he played a full season there amongst men. I think that's certainly something that anywhere in Europe is valuable and means something. And I like, he's got pretty good size. I just think he's I think he's a really solid overall pick.
Yeah, he's a pick I would actually get excited about. Him and Perot are kind of the two left on the board that I would get excited about.
Yeah, I mean, look, he was part of that Czechia World Junior team that did really, really well. He was a part of that. He was almost a point per game player on that team as a 17-year-old. So that's something that I like as well. I think that whenever you can see them kind of have that, that's him playing against older competition mostly. I really like to see the production there that we saw from him.
Yep.
And then obviously he crushed it at the U18s, but he should.
Yeah, definitely. One pick away here. I saw someone say, "Oh yeah, talking about Barlow. How is that kid 18? That beard is nuts." And yeah, John mentioning the Barlow beard. I mean, looking at like pictures and video of the players, I'm just this guy. Like, oh, okay, he's a grown man at this point. Like. For sure. I mean, more than any of the other guys, because I was compiling for the graphics all the pictures of everyone, and they're like, "Oh, this is your kid. You're a kid." Nope, not Colby Barlow.
Yeah. His friends ask him to buy beer for sure from Becca. Definitely. Is he an overager? Like, let me see here. No, February 14th, 2005. Just make everybody really feel old.
So he's 18, right?
So he's 18, yeah.
So in Canada, you can buy beer, right?
Yeah, I think so.
There you go.
Is it 19? I don't know. Yeah.
Now, go ahead.
No, go for it.
Now, as we approach the Kraken's pick, I just want to mention for anyone who might be watching, this is their first NHL draft potentially. The player that the Kraken are going to pick, we're probably not going to see them as a full-time NHLer for 2 to 3 years at the very minimum. Yeah, 2 years probably. You're looking at that timeline. So just to set expectations right off the bat, if you think this guy's going to be playing for the Kraken next year, not going to happen, but still exciting to watch the development and everything. Just wanted to get that out there for, if you're watching it, it's your first draft and because it's different in other sports, right? If you watch football, you watch basketball, those guys come in and contribute right away. The Seahawks make a pick at 20th overall and they're going to be expected to contribite immediately. That's not the case in the NHL.
I was going to say, well, maybe not the Seahawks, but
well, yeah.
NFL teams.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Stu answering the question, it's 18 in Alberta, 19 elsewhere. So we were both right.
Interesting. Okay. I have some friends in Alberta. That must be why I think it's 18.
Yes. I like this from Stratic. Ron should bring in a player with a hidden talent for Mario Kart. Keep Matty on his toes.
There you go.
Hey, Matty won an NHL award while really fighting to be best Mario Kart player. You keep that going. Good things in this future.
So where's the hidden talent? Where do they show it? I'm going back to Barlow because I want to know where to look.
It's just on top of where all the group of the team people are standing on the big middle stage.
Okay.
It's not for every prospect, but usually it's while they do the long shot of the player walking that kind of side runway to get to the main stage. That's where you see it.
Okay, because I want to look at this for.
I'll make sure to pay attention when the Kraken.
Trying to find it for Barlow. Oh, well, I'll just be looking for it with the Kraken pick.
I was going to say, just go back to like Matthew Woods or whatever. Like you totally see it on that one.
Okay. All right. If anybody also, we have a chat with 150 people here. If anybody in the chat, if you see it for the Kraken pick, please put it in the chat. Let us know in case I miss it.
Yep. All right. They've got the random guy wandering the streets of Nashville's back out there. Bring your dog
they are up to the stage. All right, so just don't pick Perot.
Yeah.
Simple.
Let's see. Yeah, Joe saying join the NHL same time as the Kraken did. The development cycle is so interesting. Still learning it. Yeah, it's got its nuances, that's for sure.
Oliver Moore. All right.
Oliver Moore. All right. Perot is on the board, RJ.
That's certainly who I want.
Ron, you're
certainly
listening.
Who I want.
I know somebody in the Kraken organization right now is listening. Whoever you are, if you aren't already Ron Francis, contact Ron Francis. Tell him to take Gabe Perot, please.
Yes. if you aren't already Ron Francis, I love that. All right, we know Dubas has this stream on at the Penguins draft table. We'll see if Ron Francis has it on at the Kraken draft table.
Do you know how to make a paper airplane? I don't, so if you don't, it's okay. But ask a friend.
Somebody at that Penguins table must know how to make a paper airplane.
Somebody. Oh man.
This is great.
I think Perot is in that the brown pinstripe suit, by the way. Who just hugged Oliver Moore. I'm pretty sure
Oh,
that's
that's
Gabe
the guy?
Perot.
Okay.
Yes, that's
Because he
Perot.
gave the hug to Will Smith too. So
Yeah, it's Perot. So I just saw his face. So
yeah.
you know, that's one. Okay, see right here. If you look at the if you
Yeah.
watch the main screen, see, oh, pregame hype song for him, and it was too out of focus to read. So they didn't do a hidden
Okay.
talent for him. Don't even joke about that, DJ Singleton. I'm not even reading that on air. Moore doesn't pass the Bettman test. Maybe that's why he fell. I think we just figured it out. Oh man, that's
Trying to make sure I have everything ready for all the social media when it goes.
Please,
right.
Ron, let's do Perot.
Crack it or on the clock.
Although again, look, just to be clear, right? Whoever the Kraken take, we're going to love them. We're going to support them just like we would any other member of the Kraken organization.
Yes, that is true. Let's get that out of the way. But it's fun to be, to watch certain players.
There are no favorites here ever since they killed my dreams and didn't end up with Kamel. So
yeah. Oh man, here we go. Who took Pelika? Oh, it was Detroit, of course.
Detroit. Yeah. Why are you reminding us?
Sorry.
DJ Singleton. DJ Singleton. Taco Bell commercial time. Boy, wouldn't that be on brand?
Oh man. For those in local Seattle market, it's taco time, commercial time.
Yep. I mean, look at these highlights. They're like 480p. Like, why do we trust guys coming out of this league like they're coming out of a different league?
Oh man.
We get clearer video footage of guys in the U20 league in Finland than we do for the guys playing in America. Why is that?
Oh boy.
Whopper.
No,
Whopper.
Don't do it. No. I'll see people. Emily Kaplan said people say you're in the same speed category as Connor McDavid. What do you have to say about that?
What do you say to that? If you're him and you're asked that, that's pretty.
Oh,
cool,
it sounds like I'm known for something, Dylan. That's what you say to that.
Look, my sentiment still worked, right? He fell in the draft. All these people act like I was crazy for not like knowing all about him. He just fell 19th.
Yeah. Of course, they have the interview here as the Kraken ready to go.
Yes, and Mike McBob pointing out Pick is in. Pick was in kind of quick too. So
yeah, seems like they know who they want.
They know exactly who they want. We know who we want them to want. We'll find out.
It doesn't look like they've gotten up yet, does it? Or no, they're walking over? I can't tell.
No, I don't see anybody standing up anywhere.
Okay. I got to wait for the broadcast.
Because the Chicago people are just walking back now.
Here we go.
Oh man. It's sick. I mean, I feel like this is the time where we should be talking the most, but
I know. This is just quiet.
I like how everybody's like around the table, all got the serious faces, and then there's just Dave Hackstall, whose seat is facing away from the table. So he's just like there because like the coaches are all just there for some reason.
Well, he was there for the awards too. I mean, the man is a Jack Adams finalist.
Yeah, that's true. It's funny.
Yep. All right, Ron Francis walking up to the stage.
Good stuff. Oh, it's exciting. I mean, look, like I said earlier, right? Like I was, kind of joking through the whole like we'll like whoever they pick. The bottom line is Ron has crushed both drafts so far. Right, Ron.
I mean, they're going to know better than
Ron
us.
And everybody in this Kraken organization has crushed all of these drafts. So, whoever they pick is absolutely going to be somebody who, is most likely going to pan out, and everything is going to be good. So, I am excited just to see kind of who they value here. Right, like that's part of this for me.
Yeah, and look who's walking up to the stage there.
Jerry Bruckheimer. I love how the national broadcasts always focus
They hand
on
the draft pick, especially the hat.
Let's say before all the hat stuff with him, like I know, like in the industry, Jerry Bruckheimer was always just synonymous with like big explosions. So he just
Yeah.
hand the draft pick an explosion.
Yep.
Here's a detonator button. Press it. See what happens.
Love it. Ooh, Edward Chalet.
All right, there we
I'm
go.
excited about this.
Yes, that is a good pick.
That's
So
good.
again,
I like
really,
that.
yeah, really, really solid player, solid pick, mature player. Like that's the thing, right? Like I talked about him playing the 18 as an 18-year-old in the men's league. His style of game is mature as well. And
Yep.
that's something that's super valuable. He's not going to make mistakes. He's going to be someone who can come in and play, you know, similar to like a Matty Beniers, right? Like where you're out there and you're making the right plays. He can be a part of whatever cycle game you're trying to run. He's going to pick up on that. He's going to, you know, if he sees a gap that needs to be covered, he's going to go and fill that gap. Like he's a really, really smart, mature player. And there's certainly nothing wrong with that. And we talked about him on the international stages. They're going to go ahead and give us some highlights here right now and seeing what he's been able to do there. So good release. See right there, like
Yep.
that one specifically, the way he slides over to open up the passing lane to his teammate who is below the goal line, collects the puck, and then finishes. Like that's a smart hockey player. That's the stuff that you can't teach. That's the stuff that I was starting to worry wasn't there with Crystal's game or Quentin Musty's game, but Chalet has it. So I really, really like this pick.
Yeah, I think he has upside beyond.
Fun fact, good at tennis.
Fun fact, good at tennis. Okay, well, we got to ask him about that next week. The tennis skills.
Now his player role model was Jonathan Huberdeau, RJ.
Okay, interesting.
Yes.
What do you think of that as a comp? Because I don't know that I see it right off the bat.
I don't know that I see it right off the bat either. Because I think of Huberdeau as someone who doesn't go to the slot. I think of Chalet as someone who does go to the slot. So maybe he's, you know, he just said like, oh, it's the one area he can improve on. I'll make sure I work on that. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, even Alex is like, I don't know about that one. Connor asking, he with Coachella next year. I mean, he's a European prospect, so he could. If they want to, they could do that. My guess is usually with guys like this, when you're talking being picked in the 20s and they're a European prospect, you'll let them play another year in Europe, but they'll get significantly more ice time there because usually in Europe, if you are 18 and you're playing in the men's league, they tend to not give you as much ice time. You kind of get buried down the lineup. If I had to guess at something, I would say that he plays another season in Czechia, then comes to the AHL, plays with the Firebirds, and then you're looking at Kraken for year 3 kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I think that sounds about right as far as a timeline.
That would be the most traditional route they could take. Now, again, he's a pretty smart player. I think there is the potential if the Kraken talk to him, and he's a mature player. If the Kraken talk to him and they want to go ahead and streamline this, and they think he's more ready, they do have at least with him the option of sending him to the Firebirds next year, which would be a lot of fun.
Oh, here he's doing the interview here.
Yeah. I'll let you. What's he saying?
Huberdeau, he models game after Huberdeau. He says he thinks he has the same style as him.
Okay. All right. I guess that's all he said. I mean, I couldn't hear. So, but yes,
I mean, because they asked him like, have you watched, you know, a lot of NHL hockey? Have you watched the Kraken? He's like, yeah, no, I watched some teams. I had some teams, and yeah, it's good. You know, again, you could tell obviously English not his first language, but his English is pretty good. You know, considering he hasn't played in North America yet.
Right. I was gonna say there was no translator.
Yeah.
So yeah, that one's good. Let's see. Anyone else notice that there's no name on the jersey? Maybe their projected picks were taken. I haven't noticed a name on most of the jerseys in here. Usually that does stop like after the first couple guys. Just because of that. Let's see. Rexology, Perot's impressive numbers aren't impressing GMs. I think this is where the size thing is coming into play. I think that's what's getting him. personally.
Yeah,
Does tennis
I
skill
think so.
correlate with right hand grip, handshake strength? Striatic wants to know. Probably. Go pull up. I do think wasn't Chalet on the right hand grip thing? I mean, Striatic, you would know.
Can someone pull this up for us?
He might actually have been on there. I
Was.
remember seeing his name on one of those combine. Like he was one of the guys at the combine that was kind of like poking around the top 10 of a lot of lists. Which, you know, in hockey, like the combine, like it's never the top guys that are in there. But I think he was one of those guys. So let's see. That would be really, really interesting.
Trying to think of a little
Bryce,
like just blurb or whatever to tweet about Chalet, like quickly, kind of how he plays. Can you give me something, Dylan? I know like you said.
I was going to say that the big things that I keep coming back to is that he's a smart. He plays like a smart, mature style game. Like those are the things that I see and think of when I think of him. He's excelled at the international levels. Yeah, I mean, you know, you look at those highlights, right? Like he's smart. He opens up passing lanes to himself. Like I don't know how to put that in tweet form is the problem.
No, that's good. I can work with that. I can work with that.
Yeah. This pick has to be Quentin Musty, by the way. I just can't see it being anyone else.
Yeah.
Danny, analytic tool I follow, use has Chalet at a 47% chance of reaching 200 at NHL games. Well, no offense, Danny, but I hope that model's wrong. With all these picks, would you trade back up into the first round? I don't know. Maybe if Perot kept falling. Maybe. Maybe he was the one.
Oh, Charlie Stramel.
Oh my God, this is the most Minnesota Wild thing to do, right? One of the guys I have no notes for. Pick him at 21. Didn't they do this last year?
Guy out of Wisconsin. Yeah, who'd they take last year?
I'm trying to remember. No, they used the pick from the Kings to take the Swede. He was really good at goal scoring.
Oh,
Fudge, what was his name?
What was that?
Yeah, I don't know. The point is, Minnesota does tend to go more off the board with stuff, but they like big kids. This guy's obviously huge. Like, just look at him. Look at him walking this stage. He's owning the moment too. Jeez, and look at him there playing for Team USA, just right there net front. So similar to why I thought they would take Musty, they took this guy instead. It all tracks though. Minnesota's just going to take whatever big guy they can find. And what was it that I said in the mock draft? Minnesota loves size and skill, usually in that order.
That's good. I love that. That's a great
sometimes
line.
Too much in that order is I think what it was. Rexology, you're right. It was Liam Ogren. That was who they took last year. I liked that pick for them. That was a good pick. Musty was 10th in left-handed grip strength.
Yeah, interesting. Well, left hand doesn't matter. You're not shaking your hands with the left one.
Exactly. Chalet was not among top 10 in either left or right hand grip strength at the combine this year. All right, so I was wrong there. Superfly, Chalet was projected way higher at the start of the year, but didn't have a great year in Czechia. Right, and I wonder how much of that was just, you know, there are still NHL teams that do not have full-time European scouts. And, you know, if you do have European scouts, they're mostly going to be in Scandinavia, right? You're not going to be sending them necessarily all the way down to Czechia a ton. And I wonder how much of that plays into it too, right? Like it's just, you know, they're going to Russia, they're going to Finland, they're going to Sweden. They're not often making the trek down, you know, and Germany's at least closer, right? I don't know how often they're really going to like some of the Eastern European countries. That being said, we're seeing a lot of, you know, guys from Slovakia taken, but usually they're playing in other leagues, right? Like even Slavkovsky, right? He went to play in Liga. Yep. He wasn't playing in
now speaking Slovakia. Now, speaking of where the guys play, I just think this is interesting to say right away. So Jeff Merrick just tweeted, expect Seattle first-round pick Edward Chalet to play with the OHL's Barrie Colts next season.
Okay, so
I don't know if that was out there already. I'm guessing if he tweeted that now that it probably wasn't.
All right, so he is going to come over and learn the North American game. He will, you know, do some stuff. We've kind of been trashing the OHL in the sense that they don't play a lot of defense there, RJ. I don't know, you know, what that's going to mean, but it means that, you know, he's probably going to come over and look really good. He's going to put up some big numbers. Not having to, you know, he'll get more ice time, I would assume, especially as a D+1 player. He's going to get a lot of ice time in Barrie, probably more than he would have if he had gone back to Europe. So I do like that move overall. And Hunter had that first here in chat. I just want to give you the shout out
Oh,
there. And then
nice.
some
Thank you,
other
Hunter.
people,
Yeah.
also Chris and Ferris. Thank you for adding that for sure.
There we go.
So that's
right.
all good stuff.
Yeah, I'm happy with it. Yeah, I'm just the more I think about it, I'm happy with the pick.
Yeah, no, I'm really happy with it. Will, it's weird to think that the NBA probably has more European scouts in those countries versus the NHL. The NBA absolutely does, and that's because the NBA has a lot more money. It can afford to pay people to be there.
More revenue, you can pay for more scouts.
Where would Chalet slot into our prospect ranks? That's a very good question, Chris. So let me go ahead and pull up the Kraken prospects just so I don't accidentally forget anybody. Isn't it nice that Matty Benier is no longer a prospect, RJ? He's officially graduated. So
for sure.
You know, top Kraken prospects, we're talking Shane Wright, right? Is going to be in there. I think Chalet is right in there. Let's see, Goy.
Has Riker Evans graduated? I mean, is he?
No, because they don't graduate until they're an NHLer for a full year. Yeah. So Riker Evans is there. I would put Riker Evans probably higher than Chalet, but again, Riker Evans is what, 4 years more developed, 3.5 years more developed.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's controversial. I would probably put Chalet after Riker Evans and Shane Wright, but I might put him even before a Jagger Firkus or a Yanni Newman. I think he's got a more NHL ready game. I think he's probably got a higher ceiling than those guys as well. Because, you know, look, he might not have the same, you know, fantastic scoring touch of Jagger, but he's got other assets to his game that Jagger doesn't have. He's got more size. He's got better skating. I think he's a smarter player than Jagger. I like that Jagger can get open and score goals. I really, really do. And I think that's something a lot of people overlook when they rank prospects. But I think Chalet is probably right up there with Shane Wright and Riker Evans. He might be kind of between them and then the grouping of like Firkus, Goyette, Newman, Nelson, right? Like he probably exists somewhere in that middle ground. But again, the fact that he's a year younger than those guys, that speaks highly of him. He probably shouldn't be there with Evans and Wright yet, given the age difference.
Right. And yeah, certainly taking the age into account. I think he's certainly up in that strata. I would put him ahead of Jagger Firkus. Certainly long-term projection of who could, you know, if they reach their potential, be more dominant, especially too. I would put him ahead of Jagger Firkus. I think that's pretty accurate. Again, I trust your assessment more than my own on these, but it sounds right to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what I'll do is, you know, I'll go and I'll look at more, I'll look at a bunch more Chalet tape. You can do the same, RJ, and maybe tomorrow I'll throw up like a YouTube short or something, just kind of breaking him down, or a little video. I'll have the time to record it in the car.
Yep. And I want to go back too and look at our last podcast too, because I know we did talk about him and you kind of gave a more extended, you know, what you thought about him as well, because he wasn't someone that was really on my radar until that podcast.
Yeah.
And so I'm interested to kind of go back and hear what you had to say, not knowing that he was the Kraken's pick.
Yeah. I mean, I think I liked him as part of that secondary group of, if those other guys weren't there, I liked him for the Kraken.
Yeah.
And that's basically what ended up happening, right? Perreault is still around, but you know, that's fine. I like Chalet a lot. Oliver Bonk, though, to the Flyers.
To Philly. I was like, have we covered that yet? That's a development.
Lindsay with the baby bonk 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 baby bonk. I like it. Speaks fluent Czech. Fun fact.
Yeah, I mean, there we go.
Like,
if you know, I don't know.
I know.
So no bonk puns, unfortunately, here in Seattle for Allison to make. That. Okay, here's the thing. I don't want to see puns, because like with Chalet, you can make puns with like the word sail, but it's pronounced differently. So I'd rather not see that.
Right. Well, and again, if you know, assuming you're using a like interface that allows you to put the appropriate things above the letters, which isn't always possible. So I should
have done that for our tweet. It was going to take longer. And of course, Chalet was one of the ones I did not make a graphic for.
Yep. Knew it all.
All right. This is just going to be an every year thing. I just won't make a graphic for who I really want.
Yeah. Well, obviously I spoke well of Chalet because Four Horsemen says I had him sold on Chalet during that podcast. So I'm pleased.
Nice. Yeah, there are puns with Chalet. Yeah,
Yes.
that word, with the
Yeah.
C. Yeah, there you go. Ronnie met Chalet.
Yeah.
Here we go. Getting started already.
Yeah. I did see there was a couple of people I think who put in there when I was just kind of ranking where he fit in amongst the Kraken prospects. I know I didn't say Ty Cartier's name. Part of that is because in my mind he's like technically graduate. He's like basically graduated. But part of it is I do think that Cartier's overall upside is very limited. Like he is very much a role player, and he will be a role
Yep.
player with the Kraken. And so even though he's an effective role player, and yeah, he's probably going to be a top 6 winger next year for the Krakens, I just don't think that I would put him as like prospect ranking wise. Like he doesn't have as much versatility and stuff. Like he's ultimately role players are always replaceable. And I don't think like an Edard Chalet, is as replaceable, right? Like he's just a good player overall. He's going to be a smart player. He's going to be able to do different things for you. Whereas a role
Yeah, I
player,
think.
no matter how good they are, those are the guys that are replaceable.
Yeah, I think you're right about that, and especially with Cartier. Like, there was talk during the playoffs where we're like, oh, what's this? 30 goal score? I think someone even mentioned 40 goal score. Yeah, I do think we need to pump the brakes on that a little bit.
Yeah.
As far as the role that he can play and the scoring potential, he's a good player.
Yeah,
but
maybe his most valuable asset is just being a guy who's banging bodies in the postseason, right? Like that's and which again is not nothing at all. You need those guys to win in the playoffs. Look at the teams that just went to the Stanley Cup Finals. Look at the teams that were in the top 4 for the NHL this year. Ty Cartier was a huge reason that the Kraken were able to get to Game 7 of the second round. I just think that you can find other guys that do that as well. And I think what Ty Cartier did was he showed how badly the Kraken needed somebody like that. And now that the Kraken needs somebody like that, as long as they have Cartier, he'll be that person. But at some point, someone else will come in and be that person. And I think that's also why you're seeing certain guys be talked about for the Kraken as being potentially movable. And it's because, maybe they're guys with size that don't play that way too. Right. And that, kind of became an issue. But that's a story for another podcast.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm looking at how to get the accent things on my phone so I could type Chalet correctly.
You click and hold the keyboard? Like
yeah,
you click and hold?
I figured it out. Yeah, I had trouble finding the S one. I got it.
Yeah. DJ Singleton expects Chalet games and Prospect Live. Yes. So for those of you who don't know or maybe aren't on the Discord, link should be in the description to this if you're watching on YouTube right now to join the Discord. But DJ Singleton does an amazing job following the major junior leagues up there in Canada and following all the Kraken prospects. I mean, almost nightly watching 1 or 2 games and watching the Kraken prospects and then putting it in there in the Prospects Live thread on there. And so we all get to stay up to date on how the Kraken prospects are doing. And that is all DJ Singleton completely. Like incredible job, bud. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah. So it's just such impressive work. I like to, such an asset to the community. We really, really do appreciate you there. And then Gabriel Perreault going off the board in that brown suit finally to the New York Rangers. That's a smart pick from the Rangers.
Yeah. Well, they saw somebody in a pinstripe suit and they said, well, he belongs in New York.
Yep. Oh, what's on the inside there? It's like hockey cards. What is that?
No, those are pictures. Those are, I bet you those are pictures of him growing up playing hockey.
Oh, probably.
Those are like youth, like backyard and roller pictures and stuff.
I like that.
That's him playing street hockey, I bet.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool.
Can we find the fun fact? Oh, okay.
Fun fact.
I'll just never see it, I guess.
Maybe
I don't
that's
know.
why they didn't. Well, this one they cut away. Usually for that long shot, part of it he's walking really slow. I wonder if he has a lower body injury, to be perfectly honest. He's got an interesting gait there.
Yeah.
Perreault keeps the red, white, and blue, by the way. You're definitely right, DJ Singleton.
Yeah. Okay, pregame meal, chicken parm, pregame hype song. I missed what it is.
I mean, chicken parm's not a bad pregame meal. It's a little heavy for a pregame meal, actually.
Yeah. Pregame hype song, Run This Town by Jay-Z.
Okay. What is he, our age?
So. I know, right?
That song come out the year he was born? He was like 5.
I know what I was in like high school, so yeah,
Because that was
middle
on
school.
NHL 2K10, I believe, and it came out around that time. So that would have been like
Huh?
2010, 2009. These guys were born in
Yeah,
'05. It's like 5 years old.
yeah.
Maybe he's got an
Well, he's
older
a
sibling.
Jay Z fan. He's going to New York.
Yeah, there you
It's a
go.
fit. Won't be playing in
Um,
Brooklyn, but
yeah. Let's see. Would rather the Kraken trade up further into the first. I don't know. I think Chalet is still a really good pick. I'm okay with it.
yeah, I'm fine with it. And get who knows what it would have cost to move up, but nobody did. Nobody traded
Nobody
up.
moved up. Yeah, it was really strange.
So
We still haven't seen a trade yet.
yeah,
When
we
was the last time we
haven't.
got
Which
23 picks through a draft and didn't see a trade, RJ?
I feel like that's most years, honestly. Or just like what even? Yeah,
Maybe. What it
I'm
tells
gonna.
me is I bet you a bunch of teams have a bunch of guys identified for the second round, and we're gonna see like 7 trades in the second round tomorrow.
Yeah, I could see that.
I think we might end up seeing that.
Yeah.
Rangers view him falling as impetus to delay the rebuild once again. A prediction from Alex. You're probably
Yeah.
100% right. Yes, you are. I mean, look, they need it. They wanted a guy like a Patrick Kane. I mean, Perot is like a poor man's Patrick Kane, as far as like his style of play and the size and everything. Like he's a really good perimeter. I'm gonna survey things here from the side, and then I'll make the best appropriate play. Now, I
Yeah,
don't think
and I
that
think
served the Rangers well, but they've got another one.
no, but when you're talking about drafting a prospect for the long term, of your organization, you can use a guy like that when he has that kind of skill. Just the point production, like looking at that alone, it's hard to say no to at this juncture. And I know
Totally.
if you go back and just look at drafts over the years, teams rarely go wrong by just picking the guy who's kind of lapped the field point scoring wise, out of the major
Yeah.
leagues, right? The
Yeah.
major junior leagues. He's not major junior, I mean, but you know what I mean, like USHL, wherever it is.
Yeah.
You pick the guy who had the most points, and you generally tend to do pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah.
132 points there as they show him next to Will
Yeah, I
Smith
mean,
and Ryan
that's like
Leonard.
ridiculous, right? I mean, look, he had more goals, more points than Will Smith. I think he played more
Yeah.
games, but semantics. You know what
I like
I've started saying about semantics, RJ?
what?
It's for the arguments of the weak, the desperate. That was it. It's the
Okay.
desperate. Semantics are used as arguments by the desperate.
All right. Well, I'm sure you're going to throw that at me at some point in the future.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, CR Bud, pregame chicken parm isn't heavy if you're 18. You could probably burn that off in the pregame skate. True. I'm
Yeah.
so far. I turned 29. I'm so far removed from my metabolism being in that place, RJ.
Yep. I'm starting to feel it too. Speaking of crazy point totals, I just enjoyed going back to, I was looking at Eder Chalet, and him when he played in the Czechia U20 league, before he went to the big league, it was 21-22. So like 2 seasons
Yeah.
ago, 89 points in 39 games.
Yeah, that's
You're like,
it's
okay,
just
you should
good
probably send
stuff.
him up.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I get what you're saying, James. But saying I'm fine with it isn't exactly how I want to be reacting to our first rounder. I think we were more excited in the moment and when it happened. Like we did spend a good amount of time talking about him, and
Yeah,
everything.
and well, also you got to factor given who was on the board. Like we would have
Yes.
been a lot more excited, but there's nothing you can do about the picks in front of you.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
watched
it's just got
literally.
to fall a certain way.
Yeah, we watched. What, 4 of the guys we were really super excited about going the 5 picks right before it. So it was kind of like, we were afraid to say anything at that point.
Yep.
Yeah. Really feels like no one knows where other teams ranked players, so they are scared to move too far back while also being okay with going best available because everyone is so good. I agree with that, Leo, and I do think that that's something kind of unique to this year as well.
Yeah, especially with some of the, I don't want to say too off the board picks, but you look at like Simashev early, and you basically both the Coyotes picks too. You might get a little
Yeah.
scared, and the Red Wings pick earlier too. Might get a little scared that some teams have your
Mhm.
guy ranked a little higher than maybe where most do.
Yeah, that's Barry Trotz makes this pick. I like that.
Yeah,
Poyle does the first one. He does the second one. I think that's cool.
I like that. That's good.
Yeah. Barry Trotz, by the way, super, super, super nice guy in person. I met him. He's fantastically nice. And I met him
They
not
picked
at
Roman
like
Josi.
what they did.
And Pecorine. Wow.
Wow, what a steal.
Oh, they're gonna announce this like from the stage.
Oh,
Yossi
outside.
and
That's
Rene.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
The question is, who is it going to be? Do they go with the defenseman? Do they go with the Gulyayev?
What?
Oh, well, they do go with the defenseman, but not someone I had seen. Like,
Oh.
what? Show me the first round who had him in the here. Show me the mock draft that had him here. That's what I say.
Wait, I'm checking Pronman. Hang on.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Pronman
that's
had him at
probably
27 to
well, no.
Colorado, so kind of yeah.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say the other thing is right. He's from the WHL. Where does Barry Trotz draft everybody from? It's the WHL. Nashville is
Is
obsessed
that
with the
well? I mean,
WHL. That is actually true. That's 100% true. I wasn't even the person who found that. Sam Constantine, right? The draft guy for NHL.com.
oh, okay. Is that who? Yeah, is that who
He
pointed that
brought
out?
it up. Yeah, I think it
Interesting.
was him.
Well, it's a good observation.
Yeah, but it's true. I mean, like I do know, Trotz still has that in him. Where is it? MMM going in all of my.
So
stuff
Poyle, it
here.
must be who's like always drafts from the WHL then.
Yeah, but it wouldn't surprise me if Trotz also always kind of had some say, especially.
And also,
with
that's
the first
GM
rounders.
of the year, first place vote getter, David Poyle this year.
What?
He got a first place vote as GM of the year this year.
What? Wow. So
does Ellie Tolvanen get to vote on the award?
I guess so. So consolidated rankings had him at 40. This guy.
Okay.
He's a really good skater. It seems like that's kind of it. Like the scouting reports and stuff I'm seeing real quick here, just from a quick search, all talk about his skating. His offensive numbers were fine. Interesting. I'm not surprised they went defense. I'm just surprised with the choice. I had them taking Gulyayev here. I think he's probably got higher
mocked in a few places there.
Yeah, I think he's probably got more upside, but yeah. Chris, let's go up and get Musty. No,
we don't need to do that.
Yeah, Trotz is from Winnipeg. Yeah. DJ Singleton, I legitimately think the Kraken should trade up soon.
Sorry, huh?
DJ Singleton saying, I legitimately think the Kraken should trade up soon. I mean, for who? Who do you
for
got?
who? Yeah, who do you want?
Or
you gotta have a target.
Or is it Musty?
Yeah. So we know that the Kraken are going to take Molendyk because he ranked 96th in NHLE.
Oof.
Yeah.
That's rough. It's really rough.
So they feel like they see something. 5'11", 176. It's not even a size kind of pick.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's not. He doesn't have the offensive numbers. He doesn't have the size. Any of the stuff you normally look for. So they love an aspect of his game. And
we know the Preds. They feel very confident in their ability to develop a defenseman if they see someone who has attributes that they like. I mean, we know this from the Jeremy Lauzon trade. Like they'll see someone who other people might undervalue, and they'll be like, "Hey, we can work on the parts of their game that maybe people are seeing as weaknesses."
Yeah. The Predator is the lowest energy mascot I've ever seen. Gulyayev or Musty? I would agree with you with Gulyayev. Let's say we get to pick 30, RJ. I wouldn't, and Gulyayev is on the board. I wouldn't mind the Kraken trading up for him.
Yeah,
I think you're going to find a guy of that ability in the second round, particularly because their second round picks are low. Like these aren't like high second round picks that they have.
No, I mean, we're talking maybe, basically 20 picks, 18 and 20 picks into the second round. It's all a whole nother round. As many picks as we had to wait for the Kraken's pick, that's how long you're waiting from the start of the second round. So certainly if you can trade into the bottom half of the first, if that's all it's going to cost you, then you certainly have to think about it.
Right. I'd maybe consider it for Stenberg as well.
Yeah.
Or
can we get a quick off the top of your head, maybe like a top 3 or top 5? Who's left?
So I would probably have Gulyayev first because I had him in my previous
Okay.
top 3. So
Yep.
Gulyayev first, Stenberg second.
All right.
Um, who would I put at 3? It seems still a little too early for Casper Haltinen. I'm not sure I like him that
Oh,
much.
Crystal
Yeah, I mean, we're getting into this to the point where I would probably
in
consider
that range.
Crystal in that range.
Would you consider trading
Um,
up for him if he falls out of the first round?
if he fell out of the first round, yeah, I would.
Yeah.
I would love to trade up for him in the early second if he made
Okay.
it that far. I think we're reaching Callum Ritchie levels for me too. Like some of those guys that I wasn't as
Okay.
high on at 20. I do like
Yeah.
Ethan Gauthier though. I do.
Oh yeah.
I liked him. I like Jaden Perron too, but I think you could probably get him early in the second too.
Yeah. That kid in the Blues jersey does not seem happy with the camera in their face.
Well, would you? You've got a very important job, and that's to hold on to that jersey and hand it to someone else.
Yes. Shame the Oilers don't have a first round pick, so I could.
Yeah. Well, there goes Stenberg.
Oh, there goes Stenberg.
so much for that. Wow. How about
Nice draft so far for the Blues. With
I was just
Dvorsky
gonna
and
say, like,
Stenberg.
holy cow, the Blues are like absolutely crushing it. And take that person who like gave me crud in the mock draft comment section about the Blues wouldn't take 3 centers. 2/3 of the way there, buddy.
Yep.
I even had them taking Callum Ritchie, who's not going to be a center in the NHL either. They gave me that. But no, that's a good pick. And yes, Superfly and Stenberg's gone too. Thanks, Dylan. You're very welcome. You're welcome, everybody.
Spoken into existence yet again.
Gulyayev goes to the Sharks. You know, we know what's going on.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's right. Sharks coming up. This will be entertaining. I mean, what guys out of Boston are there? That's all they pick. So
Yes.
as we hit the 3-hour mark, thank you, the 90 who are with us here at 3 hours, even after the Kraken's pick there. I mean, who knows? They could jump back into the first round. We don't know, but
Yeah.
appreciate the 90 of you with us here.
Yep. Sorry, I just have to send this text, and then I can like talk again.
Yep, all good. All right, I can hold it down for
go.
a little bit. DJ Singleton says he thinks Musty's shot is much better than you give it credit for. So I guess I did just kind of throw something to you there. But
No, it's okay. I'm over. Oh, look at that. Brother crying for him. Love it. I mean, I don't love the like seeing little kids cry aspect of it.
Right,
but,
right.
Yeah,
well, it's,
no,
it's proud crying,
Yeah, it's happy cry. It's happy tears. When is that bad? Must he shot better than I give it credit? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, he scored a bunch of like low goals that were like an inch off the ice. Is that even a shot? I don't know. Is that pushing the puck towards the net? Look, I don't hate Musty as much as I make it out to be. Like I said, I think he's super valuable, but I think he's closer to the role player category, right? Like talking about what Ty Cartier did for the Kraken. That's what you're drafting Quentin Musty to do, but maybe being a slightly better playmaker on top of it. And that's just kind of how I view him. He's one of those guys where his most valuable asset to you is forechecking and banging bodies and doing that thing. And I just don't value that as like compared to what a Stenberg brings to the table, where he can do a bunch of different things. He can play anywhere in your lineup. Basically, he can help generate offense through the neutral zone and stuff. Like I really like that. And I value that more, or certainly what Chalet brings, right? Like I value that way more than what Quentin Musty brings. So that's just partly why I'm so down on Quentin Musty.
Yeah. And there's a time value wise to draft a player like Musty. I mean, he's definitely someone you would love to have in your prospect pool, but I think that time is kind of early second round.
Right. Well, this year for sure. I was going to say, if this is pick 20 last year, yeah, I'd take Musty.
Oh yeah, all day.
Like it's just, again, it's so much of this is skewed based on how many players are here. Like the fact that a Stenberg could fall to 25 in a draft like this is ridiculous. I said that in the mock draft. I'm like, it's ridiculous that this guy would be down where I had him. I had him at 30. He was much better than that. So we'll see. How's it going, Pablo? Good to see you. It's been a little while. I love seeing everybody that we've been missing.
Yeah.
Detroit has picks 41, 42, and 43.
Yes, they do. They have 3 picks in a row in the early second.
And I guarantee you they do better than Boston did.
Oh yeah, just straight up.
With
straight up,
13,
those
14,
3 picks for their 3 picks. Yep.
It was. Let's see. Let's see. Sean, a few weeks removed, what are your thoughts today about Cartier being with the Kraken to start next season? I mean, I still feel like he's probably going to get a roster spot. I don't know about you, RJ.
Yeah, I think so, and especially
Yeah.
even today, Ron Francis went on 93.3 KJR and was talking with Mike Benton about it, and he was asked about, oh, I think it was like a question about how the free agency situation is and setting up the roster for next season, and he's like, well, if you look, we've got a lot of guys under contract, and so we don't have a lot of spots to fill, and so he mentioned the 10 that are currently under contract that are regulars for sure, the top 3 lines, and then and Tanev, and then the first player he mentioned afterward was Ty Cartier.
Yeah.
And he kind of stopped himself almost for saying like, well, he's going to be there. He's going to be, pushing for a spot.
Yeah.
You can tell it's in his mind, like Cartier is going to be there.
Yeah. Now, Sandpipe saying, can Cartier replace Sprong's production? So if you're just mean goal scoring, maybe not, although maybe close. But as far as like production and bringing something to the table for the Kraken, I think he'll probably outpace Sprong's production. I think his ability on the forecheck to win puck battles in the corners in the offensive zone, go and get the puck in the offensive zone, I think that's going to bring more value and allow other guys on the Kraken to be more productive. So I would say that, again, if you're looking at counting stats and goal scoring, and maybe it's going to be around the same level, but I think he adds a lot more to the table for the team as a whole.
Yeah. I mean, you took the words from me, and especially if Cartier's in a fourth line role, if he's getting Daniel Sprong type ice time, there's no way he matches the counting stats. But I think he's just going to be overall more valuable.
Agreed. All right, so Sharks quitting Musty.
Sharks take Musty.
He is one of those, because of his style of gameplay, he's a little closer to being NHL ready than some other guys, right? Because of what he brings
That's
to
what the Sharks
table.
should value.
And well, that's what supposedly they want. And look at that like swollen knuckle he's got there on his hand.
Oh yeah.
Like what was he doing? He's got a total bruised and swollen knuckle. Like, yeah, is he getting into fights or something? But the point is, he brings that kind of, little bit of nastiness and stuff, and obviously the Sharks feel like they need that. One could argue it's about 6 years too late.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. No, I think he fits in really well as a draft pick with those, with those Sharks teams of the 2010s.
Mm-hmm.
If you put him in his prime there, I think he fits in really well as kind of that, middle six forward who's just going to forecheck and grind you down and create space for guys like, Logan Couture or Timo Meyer,
Right.
Those guys.
I'm
Patrick
just saying,
Marleau.
That first highlight they showed us his highlight package. You gonna tell me that's a legitimate goal?
I know, right?
he throws it on the ice from the point and it goes in. Like, come on. That's the stuff. The other highlights were better. I'll give you the other highlights. But that first one, Sean, Musty Shark. I love it.
You know what? I feel good that Musty's off the board, honestly.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Bryce Cartier and Tanev on the same line would be a nightmare to play against. Oh my gosh, totally. Nobody would want to deal with those guys. That would be sick to watch. That would be awesome.
That could be fun.
Yeah, Leo, if Chalet was in Wright or Beniers' draft, where would he have gone? Last year, I mean, he could be a borderline top 10 pick. Last year was very weak draft class. Like I could see him sneak into the back end of the top 10, certainly top 15.
I'd say 10 to 15 range in last year's draft.
Yeah.
It was just such a weak draft.
Yeah. The Beniers class was a little different in that one was very like top heavy, but it was really about like 7 or 8 guys. So I think you're probably looking more at, I would say more around, 12
I'd say 15. The 15. Yeah. Oh yeah. I was going to go like 15 to 18 range, but yeah, I could get you just, there were still some guys in that top 12, 13 that I think people were really excited about. It was a top heavy class.
Yeah. I'm just,
those draft classes had a lot of character to them as far as just who was, like how the class itself was.
I don't know, RJ. I would say that Chalet was better than Tyler Boucher.
Well, yeah. So we're like the next 12, 10, 15, 20 people I drafted right after. Yeah, sure.
I know. I don't know. Like there was some guys in here that I would put Shally right in there with a Cole Sillinger at 12 or a Coronado at 13, Rosen at 14. Like I would put Shally in that same category. And then certainly above like a Bolduc at 17 or a Chaz Lucius at 18.
Yeah.
Like I
I think
definitely
that's
think
fair.
that's where I'd be. But yes, that top 9, like ending with Dylan Gunther, like that was special. That top 9 in that
Yeah.
draft was
And
special.
there's no way he cracks that.
No, but again, yeah, around the 10 mark there.
Yeah.
And then just for fun, I'll go back and look at last year's
And I like this message
insanity.
from DJ Singletone. I will raise hell in the comment section if Musty tears apart in the future.
Yes, go for it. Dude,
Yeah,
for
dude,
the
you'll
rest
have
of
earned
my
it.
life, you can come at me. I'll make sure I'll always give you my number. You can always just come at me. It's fine.
Every single goal that Musty scores in his NHL career.
I know. Oh, that would be fun. Yeah, looking at the draft last year, I think he could have snuck into the top 10. I would take Chalet over Savoy any day. I'd probably take Chalet over Casper, who went 8th. Just saying.
Yeah.
I'd take him over Juracek.
Yeah. Someone on Twitter questioning our description here. I said an exciting blend of size and skill. Like size, he's 175, soaking wet. You got to know how prospects work.
Yes. He is going to be 20 pounds heavier when he plays in the NHL in a couple years.
Yep.
You look at frame. And what I like about him is he actually does have a frame that's going to support weight. You can tell looking at his
Yeah,
shoulders
you
and
can.
his hips. Yeah. He's not like a bean pole like Matthew Wood. That is the one thing that I am concerned with. Like he's massive, but like I don't know where he's supposed to add weight really. Like it's kind of not going to go anywhere. There's no place for it to hang on. Let's see. Rusty Railroad, who can play with the Firebirds next season? Well, technically, Chalet could because he's from Europe, so he would be eligible, but he's going to be going to the OHL. As for like existing Kraken prospects, it would be the guys drafted in the 2021 draft. They've now aged out of major juniors. So Ryan Winterton is kind of the big one that comes to mind. Riker Evans had already been down there because he was an overager when they drafted him that year. But if you look at those guys, those are going to be the guys. And then they did draft a couple overagers last season. Was Tucker Robinson an overager? It was Robertson and Kyle Jackson were both overagers. So
yeah, I think so.
They're eligible also to go play with the Firebirds this upcoming season as well.
Yeah, and Francis did mention a few names too when he was on the radio today about kind of where everyone was.
Yeah.
And yeah, he talked about basically it was that draft pick divide. He talked about Furcus not being next year but the year after,
Yep.
and those guys.
Ty Nelson's the year after, all that.
Yeah.
That's a weird Avalanche logo that they had behind them with the Avalanche written out and then the big A like in the middle. I've never seen that.
Oh yeah, Colorado Avalanche. Avalanche. Yeah.
Avalanche. Yeah. Dylan RJ going to the draft next year in Vegas. I would love to.
I would love to also. We have not booked flights or anything. It's been a little soon after the announcement, but I'd certainly love to go to the draft. It's always a great time, and Vegas is, it could be a lot further from us for sure.
Yes.
It's easier to get to.
I was gonna say I could make the drive out there for that.
Yeah.
Make sure I have a car. I've also got family I can stay with too. That helps with the whole costs of everything.
Yeah. It's much more convenient than Nashville. I don't think Dylan has any family there, nor do I.
Yeah. Tucker Robertson's already 20. Yeah, and I think Robertson's going to be fantastic with the Firebirds. Like it'll probably take him, 10, 15 games to get up to speed with everything, but he seems like exactly the kind of player that's going to benefit playing there in the AHL. When Chalet goes to the OHL, does he have to follow the CHL NHL agreement? No, he doesn't. That's only for the North American born players. The European guys are exempt from it. So yeah, I mean, if let's say he kills it and there's like a bunch of injuries with the Firebirds, they could technically call him up. I don't think they would, but it's possible they could.
Yeah, it is one of the benefits of drafting a European player, though, and one of the things even last year, where if you're Montreal and you're thinking of Slavkovsky versus a Shane Wright, and if you're a big believer in that, how you develop a guy and the situation you put him in makes a big difference. That might be enough to make a difference for you, where you're like, look, if we take Shane Wright, as much as maybe we like the player, it's going to be this really awkward, where is he going to be type of situation. Whereas with like any European really, but like a Slavkovsky or an Emmets, you can put him wherever.
Yeah. Now, how is everybody feeling about the idea of like, the legitimacy of a prospect being taken high coinciding with whether or not they have a Wikipedia page? Right? They were
Hmm.
notable enough to have a Wikipedia page, all right? Because I'm just going to say it. Chalet has a Wikipedia page. Guys like Colby Barlow, Quentin Musty, Callum Ritchie, no Wikipedia page.
Interesting. Hmm.
Yeah. Now, if you do take stock in all that, then boy, you got to feel for the Arizona Coyotes because both Simashev and Boot don't have Wikipedia pages.
Well, you know what? If they don't have a Wikipedia page, then they don't have a controversy section in their Wikipedia page.
Oh, that's true. That is definitely true. Neither does Chalet, by the way. No controversy section, so we're good.
Okay.
We're
We're good.
good.
Okay.
But I mean, looking at it, Chalet, we mentioned it earlier. He played it in the U16 league at 13, and then he played with the U20 team at 18. So like he has been playing kind of above his age group in Czechia. It's just again, I don't know what that means in Czechia because generally we don't see prospects follow that trajectory and stay there, and especially because it is Europe where you play with whatever hometown organization you're born to. Like
Right.
they don't draft guys that say 16 and then go through it. Like he was born here, and so he played within their organization. If they're a historically poor organization, then it's possible he accelerated through their organization faster just because the level of competition wasn't there. So I don't know that stuff. I can't comment on it. I'm not saying that is what happened. I'm just saying that's possible. But he won the World Junior. He won silver at the World Juniors this last year. That Czechia team looked fantastic, and he did contribute to it, being nearly a point per game player. That's like more than enough for me, right? Like I'm excited to go back and watch him specifically with that group because that was a really good group of guys.
Yeah, it was, and just how much he excelled at the international level. You pointed out. I mean, just you look at the numbers that they kind of jump off the page, but also just watching in that tournament, that group was special.
Yeah,
I mean, they almost got it done. They almost won the thing
yeah, exactly.
against a stacked Canada team.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Oh my gosh, RJ, Toronto, their pick is in.
We should ask Shane about playing against. He'll be at DevCamp. We should ask him about playing against Chalet.
Chalet, yeah, yeah, they would have totally faced off against each other.
Yeah, in the gold medal
Good
game.
call. Nobody tweet that to anybody else. That's us.
Yeah, no,
That's
nobody.
us.
This
This doesn't leave this public live stream.
that includes you, Ron,
Yes.
and Kyle.
Yes. Oh man. Yes, Mason. Wikipedia is the newest draft prospecting site. That's how I'll do everything from now on.
Yeah.
Crystal is still there, Alex. You're right.
Now, of the next, oh man, can you imagine if he gets
Toronto.
to Vegas? Well, no, they'll just trade him for somebody else. But
Yeah, no.
they'll trade him for NHL help.
Yeah. No, Kalen, there is
Colorado would be fun.
There is no other purpose to the kids in the jerseys other than usually they're like the sons and daughters of ownership or somebody high up in the organization, and it's just like a fun way to bring your kid to work kind of thing.
Yeah. I got interrupted as I was by something in the broadcast. I was saying this earlier, but it's a shame the Oilers don't have a pick. We get to see that. Remember that kid with the curly hair?
Daryl
We got to
Katz'
see him like
son?
grow up year by year. Yeah,
Yeah.
Daryl Katz's son. Yeah.
Yeah, for a very, very long time. That was something. As Treliving makes the first pick as GM of the Leafs. I'm a
Thanks for
newbie
the open bar bill all week.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm a newbie with the Miners, but why aren't prospects sent to the KC Mavericks from the Sandpipes? So it's a little different than like say baseball, where like guys will come in and then they'll progress up through multiple levels of minor league systems. A lot of it does have to do with like the CHL NHL agreement. As Easton Cohen goes there. Oh, big shock! They take the kid out of the London Knights organization.
I know. I was like, oh, from the London Knights. Okay.
There's only like 1,000 connections between those two front offices, and doesn't get DJ Singletone's seal of approval, so it's a terrible pick. Let's see. Where was I? So it's not like in baseball where like you draft somebody and then they immediately go into your minor league system and then they kind of progress through all the levels on their way up. Because of that CHL NHL agreement where guys from the Canadian Hockey League have to go back there for 2 years, it's kind of like they pass the ECHL kind of level of development. They generally don't need it. By the time then they graduate, they're ready for the AHL, and kind of similar with Europe, because most of the guys from Europe will just go back to Europe, and so they end up playing within their home country, usually against men. So and at a higher level than the ECHL. A lot of it just kind of comes down to the ECHL doesn't have a high enough level of competition for a lot of prospects to develop in. They would just be too good. And like that's kind of it. And I know that sounds brutal to like hear, but it's kind of the way it is, right, RJ? Like,
Yeah. No, I think you said it. It's just, yeah, they would be too good. And the occasional times you will see, I mean, even someone who's kind of AHL fourth liner, go down to the ECHL, and they tend to do very, very well.
yeah,
Yeah, I just think that's pretty much why they do that. Also, because you don't have as many people usually within the shared organization, everything. You don't have the ties as close.
yeah,
The Kraken work very closely with with Coachella and Bilesma and Coach Jess and all that, whereas there's more of a distance there, with the Kansas City Mavericks.
yeah.
I
Exactly.
went to go look up some numbers because I was like, look, Luke Henman as an example, because I remember this season,
Yeah,
he was, at the point where he's kind of a healthy scratch, basically in that territory with the Firebirds or with the Charlotte Checkers, even last season too.
yeah,
He 14 points in 50 games, borderline forward. He goes to the ECHL for 3 games. He puts up 4 goals in 3 games, 6 points. He's a 2 point per game player. The gap is pretty big.
yeah. It's definitely big. Kyle Dubas fuming. It's not someone from the Sioux. Yes, exactly. Let's see. Oh my gosh. Cohen's rankings are all 60 plus, except for Craig Button, who had him at 34.
Sounds about right.
Toronto gonna Toronto. Aaron, regarding free agency and tight cap, is this the year an RFA gets offer sheeted? I think it's very possible this year, RJ.
Really, you think so? Is
Yeah.
Swayman the guy, or who are you thinking?
Well, I think it'll be someone like, a lower tier, like none of the super top guys are going to get like a massive crazy offer sheet. But like, would it surprise you if, say, things are taking a while with Ron Francis and Will Borgen's team to, someone maybe slides in and throws an offer sheet Will
It
Borgen's
would
way?
surprise me. Yeah, it would
Okay.
surprise me. I think teams only do it if it's a player they're really, really after. Even though the minor offer sheets make so much sense,
So
teams
much
just never
sense.
do it. Even like you look at last offseason, Nick Hague for Vegas is an
Yes.
RFA. You could have offered him, a 3.5 or 4 million cap hit or whatever, and a second round pick would have been the compensation.
Yep.
For Nick Hague. Like you
Yep.
easily could have done that and forced Vegas into a bad spot. Nobody did it. Vegas is laughing all the way at their cup parade as they sign him for 2 point something. Teams are just afraid.
No, it is one of those things where it's like they always joke like the only time you do the offer sheet is to try to like give the put a poison pill contract on like a rival, but really those would be the contracts, right? You slightly overpay for a Nick Hague, or you slightly overpay for a Will Borgen, and it really puts that other team in a tough spot where if they do keep him, now they are paying maybe a little bit more than market value for somebody. And I think that would be the thing that I would do. And again, yeah, as long as you're comfortable paying it, or you're in the spot where you can afford to take that little bit of a higher contract, the draft pick compensation generally is totally worth it, right? Like with Nick Hague, he was a proven NHL defender, like a really good one. Tell me that's not worth a second round pick in any draft? Like, come on.
Yeah, with size, physicality. I mean, and then he goes and proves the next season. He's part of a Stanley Cup winning blue line, and a big part of it.
And I hate this idea that like, oh, well, if you do it, someone else will do it to you. The NHL GMs are only there for like 3 years. By the time they get around to getting revenge on you because you actually do have an RFA and you're in a tough spot, you're most likely gone by then anyway. What do you care?
Yeah.
Yeah. Bert, who was the first pick? Never seen it as I was busy. Do you mean for the Kraken or for the draft? Because for the draft, it was Connor Bedard, which if you haven't been following, everything was widely expected to be the first overall pick. I mean, it was near guaranteed.
Yeah.
He's kind of that next generational guy, top prospect since Connor McDavid. He went to Chicago first overall. And for the Kraken, if you're a Kraken fan, we took Edard Chalet out of Czechia, and we're very excited about that.
All right, the Blues kid seems a little happier now. Got used to the camera.
He smiled when he like realized what it was he was looking at.
Yeah. Also, I realize as I'm looking at the draft order here, Carolina's just taking Crystal at pick 30, right?
Yeah, probably. That seems like what they would do.
All right. So the Blues, 2 really smart picks so far.
Yep.
Do you think they go way off the board with someone, or do you think they make a third smart pick? And who would that be? Who would the smart pick be
Well,
here if
look,
you're
I
St.
had
Louis?
them with their third pick taking Molgard, Oscar Fisker Molgard, just because
Hmm.
he's got the like nasty, like
Yeah,
tough to
it'd be
play
a little
against,
bit of both.
whatever.
I think it's a
Yeah,
little bit off the board, but it'd be a solid pick.
yeah. What I'm noticing is I haven't seen him on Megan's board here of like top available prospects. Is she
Ooh,
just not high on
Theo,
him, or have I missed him?
huh? Who?
Oscar Fisker Molgard. But
I
they
think you're a
took
little high on
Theo.
him.
Yeah, but they took Theo Lindstein. Let me see, because I know I had looked at him, but I didn't end up giving him a first round grade. I'll just go
Uh-huh.
through my notes here real quick. Sorry.
All good.
I've got
The
the
Athletic has a
2
mock
streams
here
going.
40th to Washington.
Yeah.
So,
No,
and actually, Pronman had him at this pick, 29th to St. Louis. Theo Lindstein. Pronman had this.
I'm telling you, like, I'm not like a Pronman guy, but I absolutely trust him when it comes to these day of mocks.
Yeah.
How do you
Wow.
not? How do you not?
Interesting. They had the Kraken
Sick.
taking Barlow. I wonder if they would have
Yeah.
if he was on the board.
Yeah, it's a little higher than I would have had. I had him like a high second round pick kind of thing after I looked at him. But the bottom line is he played most of the year as an 18-year-old in the Swedish Hockey League. Like, that's impressive. That's a very good league in this world. You know what I mean? Like, to be honest, RJ, I'm starting to wonder if it's catching up to the KHL, to be perfectly honest, as like that second best league in the world. But that's a conversation for another day. But the bottom line was he was playing in that league, and that's not an easy league to play in as an 18-year-old, much less as a defenseman. And so he was really good, and that's why I also ignore the fact he only had 2 points in 32 games. He wasn't getting the ice time there. And so I think he's a good pick. I think this is probably a little bit of a reach, but when it's your third first round pick, you go ahead and you swing and you go for the position. I am surprised though, right? Gulyayev is still on the board, or did I miss it?
No, he's still on the board. He's still there. So
I would have gone with him personally.
was he? How did he look for like NHLE and analytics and stuff?
I don't know. I don't look at that stuff.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't discredit it, and I don't not value it. I just don't know enough about it to do it, and I don't spend the money to subscribe to everybody's models. That's why I don't look at it.
Fair enough.
But I totally believe in it, and I think that it does have its place in all of this stuff. So
yeah.
But I thought Gulyayev was very high on those models. Like, I thought
that's what I thought too, and so I was
So
just trying to see what the chance of Carolina taking a bar here.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm looking at NHLE here, and from Patrick Bacon, who does these the models for like Jay Fresh and Top Down Hockey. So for Theo Lindstein, he had him ranked 307th overall by NHLE, 307th in the draft class.
Wow. Now I don't feel bad about not having him in the first round.
Yep. So Gulyayev is ranked 25th here on Patrick Bacon's NHLE model.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
that's right in this range.
Yeah.
His top remaining guys are Andrew Crystal, then Lucas Dravicevic. I cannot get that name right. Him, then Riley Height, who I forgot is still on the board. Riley Height's still there. Cohen Zimmer, and then he just listed the top 3 remaining forwards and defensemen. Okay. So,
all right. There's Fisker Molgard. So yeah, there is definitely guys, and John here in comments asking, didn't Ron Francis make a comment about hopefully not using all of our second round picks a while back?
I know he did last year.
And then they used
did last year, but I haven't heard him say that this year.
Yeah. So I mean, I vaguely like feel like that too. But the point is, there are guys now where I would be comfortable moving back up into the first round to grab. If you really like Ethan Gauthier or Riley Height or Mikhail Gulyayev, like, I would be okay trading, 2 of those and a third rounder next year to go ahead and move up and grab one of those guys. Like, I think that that's worth it.
Although I will say this morning on the radio, Francis did say we feel something to the effect of we feel very comfortable knowing that if we do nothing, we're going to end up with like a bunch of great prospects. So that tells me he doesn't feel any particular urgency to make a trade.
No, and I don't think that there is urgency. It's just like, hey, if you had a higher grade on these guys, or like you were considering them at 20 potentially, and now they're available at 30 something, you
Yeah.
go ahead and I think, and you move up for them. So even an Oscar Fisker Molgard or a Casper Haltonen, I think would be worth moving up for. I see more of an NHL future for them than I do for some of the other guys, or a Crystal.
Yeah.
Because that's what I think. You start getting to the point where instead of being guaranteed middle six forwards, you're starting to talk about potential middle six forwards. And that's where it's like, eh.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. All right, this has got to be Crystal, right?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, it depends on what they're doing. I don't even know what Carolina's been doing the last couple of years in the draft. And like their whole future is really murky just looking at it from like a cap friendly standpoint.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Aho is the number one thing of can you
Yes.
get that done long term?
Yes. But I mean, they got to like rebuild their bottom six and everything this year. It's a tough one. That decor is aging.
Assistant GM Bradley Nadeau.
Okay.
Left wing out of Penticton in the BCHL.
Right. So this is they're valuing the production at a lower level, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
the BCHL is a step below the Canadian Hockey League. And they're saying, I mean, he put up crazy numbers in that league. I'm trying to remember exactly offhand, but it was like
I'll pull it up.
130 something points, I think.
Yeah. 113 points in 54 games.
Yeah, like that's insane production. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't
more than 2 points per game.
Yeah, that doesn't happen every day at really any level of hockey. Now, what's interesting is his brother put up 110 points playing on the same team with him.
Interesting.
On
Is his brother? What's the age difference?
His brother is 2 years older. Well, he's 19, turns 20 at the end of the year. So obviously,
so that doesn't tell you NHL potential, but
yeah, no. But I mean, it says Bradley's the better player. Is what that says. But he's really small, and so it's one of those like you saw how far Gabe Perreault fell, and that was with production at a much higher level against higher level of competition, right?
Yeah.
But there was concerns about his size. Or Crystal is falling, and there's concern about his size with the production. But I would argue Crystal's production at the WHL against that level of competition way better than this.
Yeah, I would think so too. This is definitely a riskier pick.
Yeah. But I've said it before and I do stand by it. I like going after the guys with ungodly numbers. Like there is something to the ability to produce like that. That is just good.
Certainly at this stage in a draft, in the late first, I mean, swing for the fences here. You want someone who has that potential.
Superfly saying his shot is second only to Bedard's in this draft.
Interesting.
Interesting. Yeah. I don't know. I'd have to see that. I'd have to go back and look at it again. Thinking about like his shot. I was so like,
I mean, a lot of these highlights involve his shot right here that they're showing. 5'10", 160.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's small. His brother is small too.
Let's see where Nadeau's teammate Adar Suniev goes.
But see some of this stuff, like even with his shot, like look how much time and space he has. Like it's a lot easier to make your shot look good when you could really set it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll learn a lot next year because he's committed to the University of Maine.
Yes, definitely. So it's also it looks like he plays with a pretty long stick. Is that just me? Maybe it's just he holds it up high.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right, 2 picks left, RJ.
All right.
2 picks left.
Past the 3.5 hour mark.
I know. Oh, I was prepared to buckle in for somewhere in the 4 hour range. What are you thinking here? What do you think? Colorado's already had a pick, but they went ahead and they made the new trade to come up here.
Right. I mean, because I do think they'll probably want to take somebody, given they only moved one. They moved one of the
Yeah.
2 picks that they got. You probably want to take somebody.
I mean, they just
You
need
know,
prospects in the system right now.
right. You just got to replenish. That's the thing. I don't know what the timeline they're really looking at is. Are they going to want someone who can contribute a little sooner? Are they going to want, or they want to go for upside because you're looking at, you're going to need someone who's going to have to come in on a cheap deal and maybe be a top 6 forward to bring you some scoring depth, or a defenseman once, once you can't afford to maybe keep a Taves and a Girard and a Makar. I don't know. What are you looking to do?
Yeah, I don't know.
So I see their social media manager that or their PR head of PR that I recognize from when they had the playoff series there, reading a list and getting the tweet ready with whoever they're about to pick.
Yeah. Rixology, the only question left is if the Q sneaks into the first round. I did have to Colorado earlier with their earlier pick, I think it was. Because this pick I still had as Montreal when I recorded the mock draft. I had Ethan Gauthier going to them.
I don't know. Maybe
could be. This could be it. The Q wants to make an appearance.
You're gonna have your Pronman moment.
Now is the time. That being said, like a Riley Height, like
I was just looking at that name as it came
sense.
across the screen. I'm like, you know what? That would make sense.
He makes a lot of sense for them. If you believe in the offensive upside of Gulyayev, why not have him learn and under guys like Taves and Makar, right? Like you could do that too. So they have options here.
Yeah, they do.
There's good players on the board for sure. Or they take Crystal and they figure like, look, if he's surrounded by other really big producers, that's a big thing.
Yeah, he can play with them. Oh, Gulyayev.
Yeah, there it is.
Real solid pick.
Yep. He fell, but that's a good pick for them. So
he's gonna fit in so well on their blue line.
Yeah, he is. Oof. I don't like that.
I know.
I don't like
scary.
that. But it is a good pick. So yeah, I mean, look, he's got the offensive potential. They obviously know how to develop defensemen. They've been doing it now with a lot of guys. He could totally be just the next one for them. I was kind of thinking the same thing, Sandpipes. At least he didn't go to Vegas. I had been worried about that the whole time, and I wasn't saying anything on purpose because I did not want to screw it up for everybody again the way I had been.
Well, there you go. You finally, by the end of the draft, after 3.5 hours, you learned your lesson, Dylan.
Yes, he was the guy I was worried about going to the Vegas Golden Knights just because he could basically turn into like their Shea Theodore replacement and be on an ELC and do what Shea Theodore did for them, and that's scary. So yeah, it can't happen now. We're good.
Whew. Dang, because I did want to ask you right now, like, okay, who are you most scared of at this point for Vegas taking?
Yeah,
you know what? I won't make you answer that.
Yeah. Well, now I'm not as scared about like any really.
So that would have been your answer.
That would have been my answer. Would have been him. I don't know that like Crystal really scares me going to them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're a weird team. Like, there's no good clear path for prospects, right? The one first rounder that they've held on to this, now has been Brendan Brisson, and he's still not there, right? And I don't necessarily see a path for him next year either.
Yeah, maybe. I feel like they've got to give him a shot to at least play some NHL games.
Point, right? He needs to show value if they're just going to inevitably trade him anyway, right? Like, you got to give him
an audition.
So I don't know what their situation is. I just think Vegas right now, they haven't, invested in the prospect pipeline because they haven't needed to.
Yeah.
And that's kind of it. Gauthier is their type. Yeah, he might be the next guy that I would be most scared of, maybe. But it's a big drop off from Gulyayev to him as far as like the fear factor of him being with the Vegas Golden Knights. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Crystal does not seem like the type of player they would pick.
No, I would be very surprised if they did. And if they did, I would be like, well, they're betting on him just destroying people next year in Kelowna, and then they can trade him for something else.
Which I think wouldn't be the worst bet, honestly.
No, it wouldn't be at all, actually.
What do you think about a Gavin Brindley? I know you've already I remember on the podcast you were talking about him, but I mean,
he could be a good He could be a good fit for them, actually. Yeah. Again, like he's one of those like just kind of like, yeah, he's above average at whatever. He's a poor man's Oliver Moore. He's he's really good at everything. He's already playing NCAA hockey at Michigan, and it would be one of those things where he could be drafted and he could come in and be a bottom six role player for them on an ELC pretty soon. Like
Yeah.
like that, so that could be something for them too. Those might be the two smartest ways they could go. If they're going to view this as a pick that they're just going to trade the prospect later, go ahead and go with Crystal, because he gives you, the upside of him looking fantastic next year. You can trade him. If you're looking at somebody that you need to just come in and be cheap because you've got a cap crunch, Brindley might be the fastest guy to get there for you.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see what they decide to do. I'm looking at my graphics that I made to see if anybody I made a graphic for is still there. Aside from Crystal, Riley Height.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it, I believe. Yep. Those two.
Yeah. Which, Riley Height, I guess they could take, right? And you just count on like, look, that playmaking ability is special, and we can hide that within our his deficiencies in our system and with the other guys we have. All he's got to do is set up the puck, but I just don't feel like he fits their whole like, attack off the rush style as much.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
And that's part of this too, is that I'm just struggling to think of anybody who does, to be perfectly honest.
they're just going to trade it whoever it is, because there's no perfect fit here.
I said that in the mock too. I was just like, this guy, why not? They're not going to be there anyway.
Yeah.
And maybe they shock the world and they go Halton and RJ. They say, we can fix him.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be interesting.
We need to learn some like basic Czech phrases, Dylan, for next week.
Oh, that's a good point. What should we learn? Put in chat what we should learn.
We'll start with thank you. Go with the Emily Kaplan type of thing.
Yeah, that's a good way to
thank
go,
you.
for
sure. Probably should learn like hello and such.
Yeah. Wow, not many people up there for the Vegas Golden Knights, huh?
What are you good at?
It's not more. We don't need to ask that question. I just love every time they show Poyle, there's just Jerry Bruckheimer behind him. It's just weird.
I know.
It's just weird. Oh man. Alex, where's the library? Yes. As all learning language courses will have us learn. David Enstrom. Okay. That makes sense. That is a Vegas pick, actually. You know what? For them to go ahead and do that. One of those smart Swedish centers, all those guys kind of pop off and they become valuable pieces at some point. Like he could come in and be a third line center for them, probably in 2 years. So that's not a bad pick. He was somebody who a lot of the Swedish guys kind of fell over the course of this year, draft ranking wise. I believe he started off the year a lot higher. And then fell as the season went on, as a lot of those Swedish guys did, just like the team at like the World Juniors. Like it just, for whatever reason, that youth group for Sweden really struggled this year, and he was part of that. But if he bounces back, this is a guy who would have gone higher in the draft. And so in that sense, this sucks because Vegas got a good player.
Right. Then they're drafting for that upside, which is what you want to do at this juncture of the draft. So, they make a smart move, but like they've made other smart moves. That's why they've won a Stanley Cup. So,
yeah.
How about that? No Finns, Dylan. No Finns in the first round.
Yeah, I had one, right? Holtonen's the only one.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't the year for them. They've had a lot in the last couple years though, so it's just it's the way it goes. All of the hockey youth mojo was all concentrated in North America this year. It feels like it's like
apparently
all in Western Canada.
Yeah.
Clearly. Just all
there. Rebecca helping us out here with our tech phrases. I was in Czech like 20 years ago, and the only phrase I remember is "tam" meaning push. It's on a lot of doors, okay?
It's all right. Well,
here we go. So if we see him confused at the door or whatever, we know what
we can help him out. Oh, it's gonna be great. We're set up. I saw this earlier from Dylan. Thoughts on Trey Augustine with one of the seconds? I've seen him mocked to us a couple times. I mean, look, for goaltending, as long as it's not in the first round, I'm a little more okay with it. I wish he had had a better save percentage at the U20s. I'm not as sold on him as maybe some other people are, but I'm also not a goaltending scout. So I would be talking, out of my element and out of my depth if I did that. So I think it would be an okay pick, and it would fit with the Kraken's whole take one goalie a year approach. And if you
Yeah.
keep all 3 seconds, why not?
Yeah, why not? I mean, it's there's enough good players still at that juncture that
Yep.
keeping three is good. We'll see if they have anyone in mind. And that's the thing, you have the whole night to think that over, to try and negotiate
Yeah.
deals. We didn't see any trades, right?
No
All through
trades.
the first round, no trades. So
No.
maybe having some extra time there will help grease the wheels a little bit. Everyone doesn't have to think so quickly. But yeah, we'll see. I think we'll see a flurry of action maybe tomorrow morning, whether that's trades. Either way, the picks are going to happen fast. So,
Yeah.
um, what time does that start? Is that like 8:30 a.m., 9 a.m.?
8 or 9, right? Like that's usually when
Yeah.
it is for us out here on the West Coast. Anyway, I was just trying to think of like who my top five are still left. Um, it would be it
Yeah, I
would
mean,
be
go
Crystal,
ahead.
Crystal Heights, Oscar Fisker Molgard, um, Casper Haltonen, um, and then probably Gavin Brindley. Those would probably be my top five. I like Jaden Perron too. I like Ethan Gauthier. So those would be 7 names. And you know what? Look, if one of those guys really starts falling, I would be okay with a move up for one of them.
Yeah, I think so. Certainly, if you think there's like kind of a tier where it drops after a little bit, and you get a pickup,
Yeah,
in that next tier of players, I'd be okay with it. You have the ammo to do it.
yeah,
Um, yeah, and you still have plenty of picks left in the draft too.
yeah.
It's not
I
like
mean, yeah. I was just gonna say those are the guys that I gave first round grades to. So obviously, I would like them the most.
yeah. Well, that does make sense then. We'll see
Yeah.
if they come away with any of those. So 8 a.m. 8 a.m. the next round starts. Is very different than day one.
Yep.
So I'll be up ready to cover that and see who the Kraken take. Dylan, you'll be on the road probably.
Yeah, for about 3 hours at that point.
Wow. Okay. So you'll definitely be on the road. So that's that'll be good. But yeah, we'll be around to cover that. And we've got something cool kind of planned for the patrons as well.
Yeah.
As far as the recaps for the draft picks. So if you're on Patreon, if you're one of our patrons, stay tuned for that.
Yep, definitely. All right. So I think that's gonna do it for this, everybody. Thank you all for joining us. This was a lot of fun. Definitely had a lot of fun doing it. I mean, if we had so much fun last year doing this one, I mean, I could just do this forever. I love talking about prospects. I love the draft, RJ. But we've talked about that enough leading up to it, I think.
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say so. But a very fun 3 hours and 45 minutes.
Yep.
Thank you, everyone who joined us here in chat
Yep.
and made it such a great time.
Yep. All right. So thank you everybody for joining us, and yeah, for the Kraken fans and everything. I mean, keep an eye out. Free agency starts in just a couple days. It's going to be a busy time, and then obviously for Dev Camp, we'll be there both on the 2nd and the 5th. And after the 2nd, after the camp is all done, we'll be doing that hangout outside at the park there at KCI. So make sure to stop by and say hi if you can, and we'll see you all next time.